Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I, permanently add attributes, become a god. Chapter 1. Longguo, Beihai Province, Shuiyan City, Shuiyan Yigao. A devil's crack suddenly appeared in Qingshui City next door yesterday, and hundreds of thousands of people died. If the nearby legion hadn't arrived in time, there might have been no survivors in the entire city. It's so scary. Have you heard? A level 6 strong man from Sakura country died in the game world. It seems to be the game world called the Fourth Ninja War. The leader of Nanshan Kingdom, the only 6th level strong man in Nanshan Kingdom, died in the demonic battlefield. Nanshan Kingdom declared its annihilation and requested the surrounding countries to merge. Our country's Ma Long has been promoted to level 7 and joined Tianxia Pavilion. Tianxia Pavilion has added another general. The class was lively. The classmates are talking about the recent news. Da. There was a crisp sound of footsteps in the corridor, and the noisy classroom fell silent instantly. A slender woman wearing high heels walked in. She is the head teacher of the 3rd, 6th class of high school, Cheng Lin. Cheng Lin stood on the podium and silently looked at the classmates in a daze. Tomorrow is the National Awakening Day on June 1st. Unknowingly, I have spent 3 years with you. I hope you can become a strong person in paradise, but the most important thing is safety first. You only have one life. Everyone must return safely. Cheng Lin came back to her senses and said, I hope you can successfully transfer and take the college entrance examination 3 months later. Now, please come and line up to receive the novice token. After school, Lin Chen was walking on the street under the sunset, and suddenly a shadow flashed over Lin Chen's head. Looking at the passers-by with swords and other weapons on their waists, jumping and flying between high-rise buildings, he fell into deep thought. It has been 15 years, it's like a dream. Lin Chen sighed silently. Lin Chen is a time traveler. In his previous life, he was an orphan who grew up in a welfare institution. After graduating from college, he became a 996 social animal. Lin Chen, who grew up in an orphanage, has an indifferent personality and is not sociable. He usually reads novels and cartoons by himself. A person lives alone in a city with tens of millions of people. 996 died suddenly in his rental house after get off work. In a burst of white light, he was reborn as a 3-year-old child and came to this extraordinary and magnificent world. In this world, hundreds of years ago, the development of the world on Aquamarine was roughly the same as in the previous life, and the technological level was about the same. Until the game paradise of all realms came, and the abyss demons and many other disasters that followed. No one knows its origins. Amidst demons and other disasters, humans can barely support themselves by relying on the power of game paradise of all realms. On June 1st every year, all adults over 18 years old will be forced to become players and enter the game world to play. They cannot use the stop token to end the game until the first level. Hundreds of years later, 3 major superpowers were formed, with 9th-level powerhouses sitting there: the Dragon Kingdom, Sword Immortal, the Shining Star Federation, Superman, and the Nordic Alliance, Dharma God. There are more than a dozen big countries with level 8 guards, dozens of medium countries with level 7, and hundreds of small countries with level 6. Lin Chen didn't know how strong level 9 was, but he had seen strong people at level 6 take action. A level 6 strong man can be the leader of a small country, the leader of a large organization, and has the ability to easily destroy a city. He traveled through time and was reborn as a 3-year-old child in a city facing a demonic disaster. He saw only a middle-aged man wearing a Confucian robe, standing high above the city. With the word, kill, the aura of awe-inspiring power turned into a sharp sword and killed the demons all over the city. After going to school, I found out that this was a Grand Bachelor of the 6th level of literature. After this disaster, he was adopted by Yi Tiancheng, a policeman who maintained order at the time. Yi Tiancheng's family regarded Lin Chen as their own. After more than 10 years of living together, Lin Chen, who was once an orphan, had already regarded the Yi family as one family. If you don't have power in this world, you can't protect the people you cherish. If one day Shuiyan City encounters a demonic disaster like Qingshui City next door, what should I do? For this reason, I must become stronger. Lin Chen's eyes were firm, and as a time traveler, he naturally had a certain amount of confidence. In addition to his swordsmanship and theoretical knowledge that were outstanding among his peers due to his precocious wisdom, his biggest advantage was that he knew certain plots well. He discovered that some of the game worlds and Game Park of All Worlds were formed from novels, animations, games and other works in previous lives. For example, today a level 6 strongman from Sakura Kingdom died in the 4th Ninja War. There were a bunch of eyeballs and blood monsters running around, and it was hard to survive even if they could be beaten. Arrive at the doorstep of Sunshine Community. I'm back. Lin Chen walked into the house and closed the door. Adoptive father Yi Tiancheng, adoptive mother Chen Qian, and sister Yi Lingshe were already sitting in front of a table of sumptuous meals waiting for Lin Chen's return. I'm back. Good evening, brother, Yi Lingshe said with a sweet smile. Yi Lingshe is 170 centimeters tall, with fair skin and a graceful figure. She wears black silk hair that hangs down to her waist, and has an appearance that would make a country beautiful. After the meal, her mother was quietly clearing away the dishes in the kitchen. Lin Chen could see her mother secretly wiping her tears. How long? Yi Tiancheng asked while sitting on the sofa. Lin Chen glanced at the star-like blue ring on his right hand, with a countdown on it. There are still 4 hours. Yi Tiancheng took out a box from his pocket. Xiaochen, happy 18th. Lin Chen took it and opened it to take a look. Weapon choice token green. Random top token green. Lin Chen's eyes were sore. His father Yi Tiancheng was only a level 2 martial arts master, and his mother was a level 2 scholar. They were both players who had stopped playing. The trading function cannot be used during the apprenticeship stage, and equipment can only be brought in using tokens. This green quality token is more than 10 times more expensive than ordinary green quality equipment. The best quality you can use in the apprenticeship stage is green. 2 tokens will cost at least half of the family's savings. Yi Tiancheng whispered, "Come back alive." Lin Chen nodded silently, keeping it all in mind. After Lin Chen returned to the room, there was a sudden knock on the door. When he opened it, he saw that it was a slim girl. Shui, Yi Lingshe took out a box and handed it to Lin Chen. After taking it, Lin Chen was about to speak when the girl suddenly hugged Lin Chen, stood on tiptoes, and kissed Lin Chen on the face. "I'm waiting for you to come back. Brother, please come on." After saying that, he fled back to the room with a red face and closed the door with a bang. Lin Chen stood on the spot and said helplessly, "This girl is so hot-tempered." Close the door, open the box, and see a set of small life potion tokens, white inside. This is probably the money Shui'er has saved since she was a child, right? She has been number 1 in all subjects in the school since she was a child, and she saves scholarships and pocket money every year. With his family's thoughts in mind, Lin Chen lay quietly on the bed, holding the equipment he had checked over in his hands. Novice token, weapon token of choice, green, random top token, green, a set of small life potion tokens, white. Silently waiting for the countdown. 12 o'clock sharp. Linked game, countless people turned into streamers and disappeared into their homes. Father Yi Tiancheng, mother Chen Qian, and sister Yi Lingshe looked out the window at the sky full of stars. Meichener, brother, passed the game and returned safely. Body transfer in progress. 1%, 10%, 50%, 100%, transmission completed. Dear players, welcome to the Game Park of All Worlds. You will travel through the derived planes of the universe, complete the tasks of the Game Park of All Realms, and discover the secrets of the world in order to improve your score and obtain rewards. Game Paradise of All Worlds, everything is possible, this is a place of miracles. Game Paradise of All Realms, equivalent exchange is the truth of the world. It is detected that the player is carrying the token, bringing it in. It has been detected that the player already has a talent, now activate it. The body just landed, and before Lin Chen could observe the surrounding environment, his whole body suddenly became numb, as if something had awakened from Lin Chen's body. In order to intuitively reflect the comprehensive quality of players, players are now semi-digitized, and semi-digitization has been started. Warning: semi-digitalization is an auxiliary function for the player. The player's brain, heart and other key parts are seriously damaged, and the player will still die. Please play with caution. Lin Chen silently chanted the brand on the back of his hand with his consciousness. Panel 1. Personal information. 2. Task. 3. Storage space unlocked. 4. Skills. 5. Equipment. Open personal information. Personal information is as follows. Player number. 19,820,009,527. Name. Lin Chen. Nationality. Longguo. Level. LV.0. The current level will gain 10 free attribute points for each level up, and the level is linked to world difficulty and task difficulty. Rank. Not yet entered. Apprentice Ordinary Mortal. Every world has its own opinion. Players should refer to the Paradise rank system. Health. 100%. This attribute cannot be fully digitized. Energy value. 100. Intelligence *10. Current energy recovery rate is 5 points per hour. Strength. 8 related to attack power, weight, etc. Agility. 9 related to movement, attack speed, etc. Physique. 9 related to health, defense, abnormal resistance, etc. Intelligence. 10 related to spell damage, mana, perception, etc. Charm. 9 social, summoning, etc. related. Luck. 1 related to item opening, manufacturing, strengthening, etc. This attribute cannot be improved through free attribute points. Note. The ultimate attribute of an adult on Aqua Blue Star is 10 points, and luck is 1 point. Talent. Killing promotion. After killing the target, you will gain permanent 1 to 5 free attribute points. This talent can gain up to 10 permanent free attribute points in each game world. Expertise. 1. Basics of Swordsmanship. LV7 Passive. Expertise effect. Increase the power of swordsmanship by 7% and the proficiency of sword weapons. 2. Fists and Kicks Basics. LV5 Passive. Specialty effect. Increase the power of fists and kicks by 5%, as well as the proficiency of fists and kicks. 3. Throwing Basics. LV5 Passive. Expertise effect. Increase throwing power by 5%, and proficiency with throwing weapons. 4. Meditation Basics. LV3 Passive. Expertise effect. Increases energy recovery speed by 3% during meditation, and has a certain chance to permanently increase intelligence. Skills. None. Note. The next game starts in 15 minutes. Lin Chen finished viewing the properties panel and was quite satisfied with it. Lin Chen himself knew that although his strength was good, he was not very talented. He was almost 8 points, and his agility and constitution were both 9 points, which was very good. Intelligence should be the accumulation of past and present lives. Since traveling to the age of 3, Lin Chen has found that his brain is getting better and better, as if it has developed again since he was 3 years old. He did not expect to reach 10 o'clock. In terms of charm, Xiaoshuai, similar to the reader, and Shuier should have 10 points. Specialties are the result of more than 10 years of hard work, and I have formed 4 specialties, which are very good, especially swordsmanship, which can have LV7. Generally, the specialties that ordinary high school students are good at are only LV3, LV4, and excellent ones can have LV5. Lin Chen was quite satisfied with himself. Lin Chen expected that proficiency in other weapons such as bows and arrows, firearms, daggers, etc. would not form expertise. These could be obtained at a certain price in the future game world. If the 5-level peacekeeping expertise was within Lin Chen's expectations, he was satisfied but had already expected it. The emergence of such a talent made Lin Chen fall into ecstasy, making his head dizzy, as if he was dreaming. You must know that the chance of someone with innate talent appearing is only about 1 in 100,000. Take another look at talents. You can get up to 10 free attribute points in a game. Abnormal, hanging on the wall, but if it happened to him, Lin Chen could only say, take more of it, it smells so good. In addition to 10 permanent free attribute points for each level up, there are also 5 points for each game A level evaluation and 10 points for S level evaluation. The rest are some precious treasures. You must know that every attribute point is precious. It's like fighting in school days. You're a few centimeters taller and stronger. One can fight 2 or 3 without any pressure. It does not mean that the strength of 50 points of strength is 5 times that of 10 points of strength. The further you go, the greater the strength will be. Killing promotion is equivalent to giving Lin Chen an additional S-level rating in each round, and the further he goes, the stronger he gets. Lin Chen forced himself to calm down. People can die in the game world, and staying calm is a required course. Close the panel, circle around, and find yourself in a small room about 10 square meters. There was nothing but a lamp above my head and a door beside me. This is your own private space. Players are absolutely safe here. When players stop playing, they will lose their private space. Lin Chen took out weapon selection token, green random top token, green a set of small life potion tokens, white, and silently said, weapon selection sword, use them all. 3 rays of light flashed, and 3 items appeared in front of Lin Chen. Qinghong sword, place of origin, various worlds game park. Quality, green. Category, weapons. Durability, 100/100. Attack power, 15 to 30 calculated based on slashing strength. Equipment requirements, 5 points of strength can be used, and more than 7 points of strength can be used flexibly. Rating, 26. Note, the rating of green quality equipment is 11 to 30, and the perfect quality will have special attributes. Equipment effect 1. Cutting iron like mud, this weapon has 10% armor breaking effect. Introduction. The entire sword is made of fine copper and is forged by hand for more than 49 days. The sword body is engraved with the word, Qinghong. Gold silk soft armor. Origin, passionate swordsman's ruthless sword. Quality, green. Category, tops. Rating, 16. Equipment requirements, none. Equipment effect 1. Invulnerable, defense power 10 points, and additional damage reduction of 10 points from sword and other slashing damage. Introduction. An imitation of the martial arts treasure golden silk armor. It is said that the golden silk armor can be invulnerable to water and fire. Later generations used this to imitate soft gold silk armor, but they could only achieve invulnerability. Little Red Potion X5. Place of origin, a certain game world. Quality, white. Category, consumables. Rating, 7. Note, the rating of white quality equipment is 1 to 10, and the perfect quality will have special attributes. Effect, slowly restore 10% of health within 1 minute, and recover minor injuries. Lin Chen looked at the Qinghong sword and was quite satisfied. It was a very good sword, especially with its armor-breaking effect. It was very effective against enemies with high defense. As for gold thread soft armor, it's quite satisfactory. It's better than nothing. Then he picked up the Qinghong sword and danced a set of basic sword skills to get used to the feel. Lin Chen estimated that the Qinghong sword is about 100 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. The blade narrows from wide to narrow, and has a clear waist near the tip. The sword is engraved with the word, Qinghong. Take out that novice token. Newbie token. Origin, Aqua Blue Star Dragon Kingdom. Quality, none. Category, consumables. Usage restrictions. Nationality is Dragon Country. Effect, used on the player's first game, the mission of the first game will be modified, and all attributes including luck will be increased by 1 during the game. Introduction. The product of rules, the help of the Dragon Kingdom to its citizens. Long Guo wishes all senior high school students good success and a safe return. Novice token as a national subsidy to citizens. Only superpowers with level 9 experts who have been promoted and transferred 9 times can cover all players in the country. Level 8 and 7 countries can only use it by some elites. Level 6 small countries do not. When there was no novice token in the past, the mortality rate in the first game was as high as 40%. By the time the player successfully promoted to level 1, the overall mortality rate was 60%. With the novice token, the mortality rate in the first game is reduced to 20%, and the overall mortality rate is 30%. This is the reason why human countries have to spend a huge amount of money to create novice tokens. Lin Chen muttered silently, use the novice token to start the game. Transmission starts. Lin Chen's eyes darkened. Don't I know that in the later period, with millions of attribute points, the protagonist only has 10 attribute points in a game, like a clown. Don't think of the settings of other novels. He hit me hard and started spraying me. I was really speechless. When Lin Chen woke up again, he found that he was on a muddy road, with a hill in front of him and lush trees on the mountain. My mind was dizzy, as if I had been thrown into a washing machine and washed vigorously. At this time, there was a tingling sensation from the blue star-shaped brand on my hand. I thought silently in my mind, open the panel. Enter the world. Goblin Slayer. World difficulty, LV1. World Introduction. Ecologically called imps, they form groups and attack villages for the purpose of plunder. Main mission. Defeat goblins. Side missions. None. Deadline. 5 calendar days. Novice token detected. Main quest is being regenerated. Main mission. Survive for 5 natural days. Side missions. None. Deadline. 5 calendar days. Tip. Do not leave the mission area, otherwise the difficulty of the world will increase significantly. Lin Chen took a breath. It was actually this world. Although the goblin here sounds very weak, the goblin in this world can jump onto the chest or abdomen of an adult at will, a position equivalent to twice its own height, and can break a 4 to 5 cm solid wooden stick. In the early stages of the anime, kill a complete team of swordsmen, magicians, priests, and boxers. A goblin broke the mage's staff directly and kept dodging the swordsman's slashes. It only takes 2 or 3 to hold down adults and even professionals, and they can run around in the snow-capped mountains with a little fur. Lin Chen estimated that the goblin's strength was at least 8. Like Lin Chen, his agility was 10 or even 11, and his constitution was estimated to be above 10. According to the anime, goblin weapons include sticks, daggers, and even bows and arrows. Goblins can also domesticate wolf dogs. There are also branches of goblins such as Big Goblin and Goblin Shaman. Goblins have extremely strong reproductive abilities and can breed dozens of animals in a week. There are even gods behind goblins. The blessings of gods will make all races in the world subconsciously ignore goblins. This is also the reason why there are endless goblins in this world. A goblin tribe may have dozens of ordinary goblins with higher attribute values than Lin Chen, and there may even be Big Goblin, Goblin Shaman, Goblin Hero, Goblin Paladin at sea. No wonder the death rate was so high before there was no novice token. According to the previous main mission, even someone like me who understands the plot might die, let alone someone who doesn't understand the intelligence. Lin Chen felt that if he didn't have talent, he might just find a few goblins to kill, raise his rating and run away, and survive for 5 days first. There is no rush to defeat the goblins. Before killing monsters to obtain attribute points, Lin Chen is just an ordinary person. He can be said to be at the bottom of this world full of monsters. He estimated that his strength was probably worse than the adventure team that was wiped out at the beginning of the plot. You must know that the magician in the starting team is a magic genius, the boxer is from a martial arts family, the swordsman is the strongest in a certain village, and the priest is a genius priest. You can release 3 miracles right after your debut. Thinking of this, Lin Chen was not in a hurry, and first carefully observed the surrounding environment. Looking at the hills in the distance, Lin Chen fell into deep thought. The goblins in this world like to live in caves, so the goblin tribe should be right in front, so it will be much safer to walk around the hill. Goblins are known to rob, so there should be people living near the goblin tribe. Since this is only the first time to play the game, World's Game Park should not be too perverted. The size of this goblin tribe should only be small, with at most ordinary goblin, goblin scout, goblin archer, composed of Big Goblin or Goblin Shaman or the 2 lead together. It's unlikely that goblin cavalry will appear. Wolf dogs can't get close to them. Once discovered, they can only wait to die. Since the goblins are not large in size, the nearby human gathering place should only be a remote village. After looking at the sun in the sky, it was estimated to be around 8 to 9 a.m. He decided to go to the village first to see what he found. Lin Chen was carrying a green rainbow sword and was wearing soft gold silk armor. His whole body was golden, but the key was that he was still in a panic, which was very inconvenient. Paradise, hidden equipment, Lin Chen muttered silently. Detected player request, whether to enable equipment hiding function yes, no. Yes, the equipment hiding function has been turned on. Note to players, equipment hiding does not affect the equipment function, and weapons cannot be hidden. 500 game coins have been deducted. It is detected that the player does not have the ability to pay and is in debt, please pay off as soon as possible. Lin Chen secretly cursed, I want money. This is a little trick that was explored by predecessors. You can apply to turn on the equipment hiding function, and the one-time payment will be valid forever. Although it costs money, it is really useful. I touched my chest and felt a thin film. The effect of the equipment was still there, and the weight was also there. Lin Chen took his sword and cautiously walked around the hill. After walking for about 3 hours, he found a village in the distance. Lin Chen fumbled closer and found that there was no sound. Lin Chen sighed secretly. This village must have been plundered by goblins. In the dilapidated village after the disaster, everything was wantonly destroyed. The charred houses were broken and tilted, and the strong smell of smoke still lingered. The withered life was intertwined with the blood-stained land. The peace of the past was torn into pieces, leaving only a mess, and the breath of life disappeared in the wind. The air was filled with the smell of scorched earth and blood. Lin Chen stepped over the body parts of the villagers on the ground. Judging from the solidification of the blood on the ground, it must have been yesterday that they were robbed. After carefully searching the entire village, there was no one alive. The bodies of old people, men, women, and children were everywhere. Through searching, he found some food, seasonings, and clothing from the ruins, as well as some tools and 3 knives from the hunter's home. When he entered a room with the door open, he found a male corpse in the room. Even though he had already died, he was still staring at the pillow on the bed. He walked over and took away the pillow, and a small box was revealed. Open it, and there was a men's wedding ring inside. Based on the remaining traces of life in the room, Lin Chen judged that the hostess should have disappeared a month ago. Since I have to live here for 5 days, I want to avoid the plague and corpse odor. Lin Chen gathered the corpses of the villagers in a large pit, poured kerosene on them and burned them collectively. Then I found a well-preserved house to organize the collected items. Food. Origin. Goblin Slayer. Quality. Gray. Effect. Satisfy hunger. Cannot be taken out of the game world. A set of trap layout tools. Origin. Goblin Slayer. Quality. Gray. Effect. Lay a trap. Cannot be taken out of the game world. Hunter's Knife. Origin. Goblin Slayer. Quality. White. Category. Weapons. Attack power. 5 to 10. Equipment requirements. None. Rating. 6. Introduction. Hunter's Knife for skinning. Eternal Vow male. Origin. Goblin Slayer. Quality. White. Category. Ring. Durability. None. Equipment requirements. Male. Rating. 10. White full rating. Equipment effect 1. Guard. When in fatal danger, a shield equivalent to 20% of the maximum life is generated, which lasts for 10 seconds. It can be used actively and has a cooling time of 2 natural days. Special effects. Increased resistance to negative effects such as Eternal Will, Charm, and Control. Introduction. Eternal Vows, like the stars inlaid on a ring, shine with our deep love. An iron ring, actually white, full score. One protects life and the other increases resistance, both are excellent. Maybe the material limits it, otherwise it would be more than just white. Lin Chen sighed secretly. Lin Chen put on the ring and put away 3 knives so that his throwing skills could come in handy. This is why he did not practice bows and arrows and firearms. Unless he brought them in with tokens, it would be difficult to obtain relevant weapons in the early stage. But throwing, as the most primitive long-range attack method, is extremely easy to obtain. After a slight estimation of the time, it was probably around 2 p.m. After eating some food, I decided to set off to find the goblin lair. He had previously concluded by sorting out the traces in the village that there were about 30 to 40 goblins, among which there was a pair of large footprints, which should contain a big goblin, but he did not know if there was a goblin shaman. Goblins themselves are very timid and cunning. If there is another goblin shaman, it will be even more difficult to deal with. Following the messy footprints, Lin Chen hurried on while alert to his surroundings, and finally arrived in front of the goblin cave before sunset, which was almost 2 hours away. Looking at the dark entrance of the cave, he wanted to know if there was a goblin shaman inside. According to the performance in the anime, if there was a goblin shaman, he would insert it into the cave some distance away from the entrance. A totem. This is a common method used by goblin shaman. They arrange a goblin scout to guard the secret passage next to them. Once someone comes to attack, they will take advantage of the time when the expedition personnel are attracted by the totem. Goblin scout take a bunch of goblins to go back through the secret passage on the side. This is how the annihilation team in the anime was surrounded by a group of goblins, resulting in a pincer attack from the front and back and the annihilation of the team. Lin Chen would naturally not step into the cave easily, it was too dangerous. Moreover, Lin Chen looked at the Qinghong sword in his hand. The sword was too long and could easily hit the stone accidentally in the narrow terrain of the cave. The swordsman in the team was killed by accidental contact. The sword used by the protagonist of Goblin Slayer was only half the length of an ordinary long sword. Unfortunately not, Lin Chen sighed. But it doesn't matter, the goblin cave cannot be entered, but the goblins will definitely come out, such as water sources. The hard work paid off. Lin Chen found a small pond nearby. There were messy footprints next to the water source. This should be a place where goblins often use water. After carefully exploring the side of the pond, Lin Chen found a trail that could help him travel deeper into the hill or escape more quickly. Lin Chen rolled his eyes and suddenly had an idea. He used the trap tool to dig a trap on the trail. The reason why he didn't dig it on the road from the goblin cave to the water source was because goblins are timid and cunning by nature. The goblins must have known him well on the road, and anything out of place would arouse suspicion. Lin Chen was not sure that he could hide it from the goblins who had a very sensitive sense of smell. After digging the trap, Lin Chen became familiar with the surrounding terrain and dug some herbs. Lin Chen planned to use the smell of vegetation to cover up his own smell. He learned this from the protagonist of the anime. The protagonist had to cover up his own smell every time to fool the goblin's nose. The homework was very good, Lin Chen copied it with satisfaction. After finishing the work, it was getting late, so he returned to his hut in the village. The village was very quiet. Lin Chen went to bed after eating. He wanted to recuperate and start attacking the goblins tomorrow. While dying for the village, people take revenge. The next day, Lin Chen got up in the middle of the night, had breakfast, and set off with weapons and prepared herbal juice. He wanted to ambush at the pond he had chosen yesterday before dawn. In the early morning night, the woods were shrouded in a veil of tranquility. Walking on the path, the only sounds are your own footsteps and the breeze rustling the leaves. The trees cast mottled shadows in the moonlight, and the road seemed to be dotted with stars. Lin Chen came to the pre-selected bushes, already smeared with plant juice, and quietly waited for the sun to rise. He didn't know when Goblin would come, but today, he planned to wait forever. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, Lin Chen became energetic and heard footsteps approaching. After a while, a green figure appeared in his sight. Lin Chen muttered silently, "Detection. Monster found, detection in progress." It is found that the player does not have detection skills, whether to enable temporary detection skills only effective in this game. Yes, detection skill has been obtained. Basic detection temporary. Skill level LV1. Conditions of use 10 points of energy. Skill effect. Simply detect target data, and determine the integrity of the data based on the strength gap between the target and the main body. 800 game coins have been deducted and the debt has been incurred. I wish the players a happy game. Detection. Skinny Goblin. HP, 100%. Energy, 50. Strength, 8. Agility, 9. Constitution, 9. Intelligence, 5. Charisma, 2. Skill 1. There is strength in numbers. Goblins will gain agility +1 when there are 3 or more people. Skill 2. Apply oil to the soles of your feet to increase your speed by 20% when escaping. Lin Chen was not in a hurry. Goblin was so timid, how could he come out alone? After waiting patiently for a while, 3 more goblins followed. The one in front is just a cannon fodder exploring the path. The other goblins bully its thinness and force it to explore the path in front. Sure enough, Goblin is a timid, cunning and cautious guy. Lin Chen thought to himself, he is so cautious even when he drinks water. Goblin. HP, 100%. Energy, 50. Strength, 8. Agility, 11. Note, 11 is the effect of strength in numbers, it is actually 10. Constitution, 10. Intelligence, 5. Charisma, 2. Skill 1. There is strength in numbers. Goblins will gain agility +1 when there are 3 or more people. Skill 2. Apply oil to the soles of your feet to increase your speed by 20% when escaping. Lin Chen waited until the thin goblin passed in front of him, then he suddenly drew out his sword and stabbed him in the back with the green rainbow sword in his hand. The tip of the sword easily pierced the back, inserted into the heart, and then pulled out with a strong twist. Skinny Goblin, the blood bar on his head touched the bottom. Sneak attack. Hint: you killed the goblin. Your talent, Killing Promotion, is activated, and you gain 1 permanent free attribute point. You get a treasure chest. White must be dropped on first kill. The player kills an enemy for the first time, and the saving space is opened 1 cubic meter. After returning to the World Game Park, the game currency can be used to upgrade the size. Lin Chen grabbed the white box that emerged from the goblin corpse, turned around and ran away, heading deep into the hill. The 3 goblins behind were stunned, and suddenly a man jumped out from the grass, stabbed the cannon fodder to death and ran away. After reacting, the goblin yelled excitedly. This human doesn't look very strong. 3 against 1, it has a huge advantage and can be beaten. As for the dead goblin, no goblin would feel sorry for the dead goblin. The 3 goblins looked at each other and divided their troops into 2 groups to pursue them. One chased them while the other 2 took a small path to avoid them. Lin Chen had never thought of escaping through a trail. With the goblins' timidity and caution, it was impossible not to know about the trail beside the pond. Lin Chen even suspected that they had rehearsed many times just to make their escape faster. Lin Chen waited silently in his heart. Soon 2 reminders sounded. Hint: you used a trap to kill the goblin. *2. Your talent, Killing Promotion, is activated, and you gain 1 permanent free attribute point. *2. If the trap is placed directly on the trail, it may not trick the goblin, but now the 2 goblins are eager to go around and hunt, so naturally they will not pay attention to this, and will only rush faster. Lin Chen was well aware of goblins' tendency to go behind them, and deliberately let them go behind them. He turned back directly, watched the goblin behind him rush up, and turned back to stab. Goblin was startled and quickly evaded, but was stabbed in the arm. Goblin anti-joy, hold on, teammates will come soon. Hint: you killed the goblin. Your talent, Killing Promotion, is activated, and you gain 1 permanent free attribute point. Goblin died with a big question mark. Where are the teammates? Lin Chen's eyes were full of confusion when he saw it die. Although Lin Chen couldn't defeat 3 goblins, he still had no problem defeating 1. After cleaning up the corpses on the ground and in the trap, and organizing the trap, Lin Chen came to a safe place to hide. At present, he has obtained 4 attribute points. Lin Chen rubbed his chin to analyze. Now his agility is the same as that of Goblin, even not as good as Goblin, with the bonus of numbers and strength. First add 3 points of agility, make sure you are faster than the Goblin first, and add 1 point of strength to increase your strength advantage, so as not to be caught by the Goblin and unable to move. That's it. Add a bit. A warm current flowed throughout the body, and the body began to change violently, which took about 5 seconds to end. Fortunately, for the sake of safety, he did not add points on the spot. Adding points during the battle would be too fatal, Lin Chen thought after a while. Lin Chen stretched his muscles and felt that he could easily defeat his previous self. When the fighting level was the same, the attribute advantage was unreasonable. After wiping off the blood on the Qinghong sword, Lin Chen used the plant juice again to kill the goblins squatting in the grass. Goblins are still the same as before, the classic tactic, 1 with 3. Lin Chen stabbed him in the back and ran away in one go. The goblins used the classic tactic, go around the back of the trail. When the trap signal sounded, he sent the goblin away with another sword. This time it had no doubts, because it was too late, and Lin Chen's attribute points had already been crushed. Even if it was 1 versus 3, it could kill him. However, Wen Zijing silently recited in his heart that Lin Chen was just a funeral machine without emotions. Killing 4 and burying 4 is not a lack of courage, but it is more secure. Lin Chen squatted for 2 days and killed 5 groups of goblins, a total of 20 goblins. It's a pity that Goblin didn't come out on the 3rd day. Probably because he finally discovered that a large group of goblins were missing, Lin Chen guessed that there should be a goblin shaman. Although the big goblin has strong strength and physique, it does not have higher wisdom. When there is a goblin shaman, it often becomes its bodyguard. Being able to react within 2 days and restraining his subordinates from coming out should be goblin shaman. Recall the anime information. Big goblin, an intermediate individual between ordinary goblins and heroes. It is usually a fish that slipped through the net after the nest was destroyed, or an atavistic individual of the goblin whose strength increased due to wandering outside. The combat power is only slightly weaker than that of heroes, and it will pose a great threat to adventurers below silver level. If there is no king, hero, paladin or shaman in the same group, he will become the leader of the group, otherwise he will become the bodyguard. It is estimated that its strength and constitution may be close to 25 points, which can be said to be very difficult. The goblin shaman's physical ability is only slightly stronger than that of ordinary goblins, but it can use magic to attack adventurers, and its magic strength is higher than that of a white porcelain level magician. It is estimated that its intelligence should be 20 points. Animation magic shows that a fireball can burn a goblin to charcoal in a few seconds. Note: the adventurer levels in Goblin Slayer World are divided into white porcelain, black light, steel, sapphire, emerald, ruby, brass, silver, gold, and platinum. However, the previous levels are mainly based on combat experience. Lin Chen killed 5 groups of goblins in the past few days and dropped 4 treasure chests white. After opening them, he got a total of Goblin's Fangs white *2, Goblin's Stick white Poison Quenching Dagger white 500 game coins. Only the Poison Quenching Dagger white is somewhat useful. Judging from the animation, the poison quenched by the goblins is quite powerful. Goblin's Fangs white *2. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white. Rating: 5. Effect: Forge or alchemy material. Goblin's Stick. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white. Category: Weapons. Durability: 100/100. Attack power: 6 to 15. Rating: 6. Equipment requirements: 6 points of strength can be used, 8 points of strength can be used flexibly. Equipment effect 1. Stun. When hitting the head hard, the probability of slight stun is increased. Introduction: it can really make you dizzy. If you don't believe me, let me give it a try. Poison Quenching Dagger. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white. Category: Weapons. Durability: 100/100. Attack power: 4 to 13. Rating: 8. Equipment requirements: none. Equipment effect 1. Quenching poison, deducting 10 points of life every second, lasting for 1 minute, effective until the constitution reaches 50 points. Introduction: you can lick it, it's quite sweet. Open personal information. Personal information is as follows. Player number: 19,820,009,527. Name: Lin Chen. Strength: 11. Agility: 15. Constitution: 11. Intelligence: 11. Charisma: 10. Lucky: 2. Free attribute points 2 points. Novice token all attributes +1. Talent: Killing Promotion. Expertise: 1. Basics of Swordsmanship. LV7 Passive 2. Basics of Fists and Kicks. LV5 Passive 3. Basics of Throwing. LV5 Passive 4. Basics of Meditation. LV3 Passive. Skills: none. Lin Chen increased his agility to 15 points. He would definitely be faster than Big Goblin when fighting against him, and he would definitely be unable to compete with him in terms of strength. 15 points of agility can ensure that the speed is steadily faster than Big Goblin, and 1 point of constitution and 1 point of strength are added to ensure physical strength and damage. There are still 2 permanent free attribute points left. Lin Chen plans to see if there are any totems in the Goblin Cave tomorrow. If not, increase your strength to speed up the killing of Big Goblin. If you have a totem, increase your agility and be sure to kill Goblin Shaman quickly. Once Goblin Shaman has a stable output, Lin Chen will definitely die. Although strength and agility should not exceed 1.5 times of constitution, if you add all agility, it will reach 17 points, while constitution is only 11 points, which is already slightly more than 1.5 times of constitution. But it's not a big problem. After the game world is over, you can add your physique back when you get the free attribute points. Lin Chen set up traps outside the Goblin Cave to see if any goblins came out of the cave to see if they could bury a few more groups. Unfortunately, it was disappointing. There were a lot of traps, but there were none. Goblin, come out. It seems that we can only break in tomorrow. Today is already the 4th day. Tomorrow is the last day. There is no time to waste with them. Lin Chen sighed. From morning to night, he looked at the cave eagerly, wanting to kill more. A few to relieve stress for tomorrow. Lin Chen also wanted to use fire to fight smoke, but unfortunately goblins have rich experience in dealing with human adventurers and have evolved from generation to generation. Goblin caves extend in all directions, and fire attacks against smoke are useless. Now that the sun was setting, Lin Chen gave up. The evening wind blew through the mountains, and Lin Chen dragged his tired body back to the abandoned village. The village was silent, with only the sound of the wind passing through the houses. The village had disappeared into the long river of history and had no name. Lin Chen did not know its name or history, and it had been forgotten by the world. At dusk, the setting sun is like blood. Lin Chen came to a simple wooden board next to the village. People from the village were buried underneath. He had simply buried them in the past few days. The nameless village rests here. After going through the baptism of killing, the young boy who had lost his immaturity looked at the wooden sign in a daze. Lin Chen lived in a peaceful country in his previous life. He only saw wars and deaths in the news, and was just an ordinary orphan. I read most anime and novels every day, and the closest contact with war is probably in games. He vaguely remembers that when he first came to this world at the age of 3, there was a huge demonic disaster, and demons were everywhere. They were killing, burning, and looting, and they kept making harsh and excited screams. Lin Chen dragged his 3-year-old body and climbed to the garbage dump in time to hide, witnessing the death of a city and the dissipation of countless lives. Until he was adopted by the Yi family, he already had someone he cherished and someone to care about in the world, and he would not allow this kind of thing to happen around him. For this reason, he practiced sword training day by day for 10 years and became stronger. Everyone will feel fear when facing death, and Lin Chen is no exception. He had killed 20 goblins in the past few days. According to Lin Chen's own analysis, he could get a B in the final evaluation. This was already a very good result and could be called outstanding among ordinary people. But there is still a gap between B evaluation and or even S. Rating of B or below. Level increase by 1 level, no free attribute point reward, and grade B or below reward. A rating. Level increased by 2 levels plus 5 free attribute points plus a level reward. S rating. Level up by 2 levels plus 10 free attribute points plus S level rewards, high quality equipment, rare skills, expertise, precious props. If you get B level, the player needs 10 games in the game world to reach level 10 and participate in 1 round, while A and S levels only require 5 games. Also at level 10, players with full A-level evaluations have 25 more attribute points than ordinary players, and players with full S-level evaluations have 50 more attribute points. After level 10, you must upgrade. To succeed in upgrading, you must die. The game world that can be experienced at each level is limited. Otherwise, Lin Chen could have relied on his talent to grow forever. Although Lin Chen has the killing promotion talent, he can get 10 attribute points if he takes B level, 100 free attribute points for 10 games of B level, and 100 free attribute points for 5 games of S level. There is no difference between the two. However, the rewards of S level are not comparable to those of B level, and 10 games will last longer than 5 games. Killing promotion can guarantee Lin Chen to become a strong person, but if he wants to become the strongest, Lin Chen must risk his life to fight for it. In this extraordinary world, like a demonic disaster coming from time to time, in Qingshui City, this abandoned village next door a few days ago, only by becoming the strongest as soon as possible can Lin Chen have the sense of security to protect the people he loves. Tomorrow we will go deep into the goblin cave. There may be dozens of goblins or goblin shamans inside. If we miss it, we will definitely die. Perhaps the greatest form of courage a human being can have is to face fear. Lin Chen thought of his past life. The hymn of mankind as the hymn of courage, and the greatness of mankind as the greatness of courage. Day 5, 9 a.m. Lin Chen got up, had a good meal, washed up, took stock of his equipment again, and set off. He expected to arrive at the goblin cave before noon and then enter at noon. Goblins don't like light. At noon, the temperature is dry, which can reduce the goblins' combat effectiveness a little. Even if it is a small possibility, Lin Chen must seize it. Arriving in front of the goblin cave, Lin Chen grasped the Qinghong sword and prepared to go deeper. Shanli walked silently for a distance, and soon saw a skull stuck on the ground with a wooden stick, and 2 red cloths hanging on it. Is this a totem? The result that Lin Chen was most worried about appeared. Not only did it contain Big Goblin but also Goblin Shaman. A flash of understanding flashed in his eyes, and he quickly and softly retreated. According to the plot of the anime, Lin Chen had long discovered that there was a secret passage next to the totem, which led directly to the entrance of the cave. Goblins like to go around and outflank him the most, so he has to rush to the secret passage exit at the entrance of the cave and wait for the goblins to come to the door. When he came to the exit of the secret passage, Lin Chen held his breath. Before entering, he applied plant juice on his body to cover up the smell and lurked silently. Soon, 5 goblins came out of the secret passage and swarmed out. Lin Chen went up and stabbed one goblin in the throat. He learned the lesson from the anime swordsman who always slashed and his blade was flicked, so he didn't slash if he could stab straight. A fatal blow. The goblin's health bar was cleared instantly, before other goblins could react. Lin Chen drew his sword with his right hand and stabbed the one beside him. He waved his left hand vigorously, lime powder plus chili powder. The cave was dark, and Lin Chen's attack was sudden. He had no time to react before he was mesmerized. The 3 goblins were stunned, barking, and waving wooden sticks without any control in their hands. Lin Chen drew his sword and stepped forward, stabbing 3 more times to send the 3 goblins away. In a flash of lightning, in less than 10 seconds, 5 goblins died. Lin Chen, who had improved a bit, was no longer blushing or panting. He was no longer the person who would even set a trap for 3 goblins. Lin had long stopped using traps to kill goblins. Fight directly head-on, fast, accurate and ruthless, the goblin can't react at all. After Lin Chen discovered that there was no treasure chest, he took a few steps back to the entrance of the cave to seize his free time. Add a bit. The remaining 2 free points are added to agility. After a period of drastic changes in his body, Lin Chen's agility now reached 17 points. An ordinary goblin only had 11 points, and his speed was directly faster than a goblin. After putting on the vegetation liquid cover to remove the smell of blood, we walked into the cave again. Lin Chen looked at the depths of the cave. He knew that there were Big Goblin, Goblin Shaman, and possible Goblin Archers inside. They were all eyeing the entrance, waiting for him to surrender. Trapped. It's a pity that there is no priest, otherwise he would also like to learn from the protagonist's homework. First set up a stumbling block in the passage, and then ask the priest to throw a holy light miracle directly into the depths, and then take advantage of the goblins to dodge collectively, and then go forward and do it, kill Goblin Shaman, then turn around and run away, attracting Big Goblin to chase him. When the Big Goblin came near the stumbling rope, he fired another miracle of holy light, dazzling his eyes, shaking his body, and took him away with 2 swords. Unfortunately, there was no priest to release the holy light for me. When I went out, I would buy a few flash bombs if I had the chance. Lin Chen swore silently. Lin Chen took a deep breath, lit a torch in the passage, threw it inside, and then rushed in quickly. By the light of the fire, Lin Chen looked around quickly and saw the Goblin Shaman, the 1.8-meter tall Big Goblin bodyguard next to him, and 2 Goblin Archers, 10 a few goblins. Goblin Shaman. HP, 100%. Energy, 300. Strength, 10. Agility, 12. Constitution, 12. Intelligence, 20. Charisma, 2. Skill 1. Command. The morale of the goblins under his command is high, and their strength +1. Skill 2. There is strength in numbers. Goblins will gain agility +1 when there are 3 or more people. Skill 3. Fireball. Fire a fireball. Big Goblin. HP, 100%. Energy, 100. Strength, 21. Agility, 11. Constitution, 20. Intelligence, 6. Charisma, 2. Skill 1. Strong. Body self-healing speed is accelerated by 200%, strength and constitution +10. Skill 2. There is strength in numbers. Goblins will gain agility +1 when there are 3 or more people. Goblin Shaman looked at Lin Chen who was charging towards him. He was well prepared and let out an excited shout. A blazing fireball began to gather and was thrown directly. Goblin Shaman was in a happy mood. Prepare to watch this little thief who secretly killed more than 20 of his subordinates turn into ashes. Lin Chen looked at the oncoming fireballs and arrows, gritted his teeth, and faced them head on. He could not dodge. Once he was entangled by Goblin and Big Goblin, he would definitely die. Guard, Lin Chen activated the Eternal Oath skill. A white shield appeared on Lin Chen's body, and he swung the green rainbow sword to hit the fireball. There was an explosion, and Lin Chen was hit by an arrow in his left arm and another in his chest, but the arrow in his chest was blocked by golden thread soft armor. Because the equipment is hidden, Goblin Archer cannot see the golden soft armor on Lin Chen. Tip: the protective shield has been broken. Tip: HP decreased by 48%. Lin Chen broke out in a cold sweat. A fireball plus an arrow. If it hadn't been through golden soft armor and Eternal Oath to reduce the damage, one shot would have seriously injured him and nearly killed him, knocking out almost half of his health. Continuing to charge forward, he endured the pain in his left arm and swung it, hitting the Goblin Shaman thigh with 3 flying knives, blocking his movement. Goblin Shaman, I didn't expect this human being to be so brave. He directly took a fireball and charged straight at him without slowing down. No. Goblin Shaman turned around and tried to escape, but 3 flying knives were already coming. Goblin Shaman was stabbed directly in the thigh, lying on the ground, trying hard to get up and escape. But Lin Chen would not give it a chance. He had 17 points of agility and forced himself to fire a fireball. He had been waiting for this moment. He swung his sword and chopped down the 2 goblins who were guarding him, and struck the Goblin Shaman in the chest with one sword, seriously injuring him. Goblin Shaman's health was only 19%, and with another strike, his head flew up. Hint: you killed the Goblin Shaman. Tip: you got the treasure chest green. Tip: the player kills the elite for the first time and drops soul fragments small. Lin Chen swung his sword and slashed at the Goblin Archer next to him, killing him with one blow. Then throw Goblin's stick and hit another archer in the distance. At this point, the Goblin Shaman and Goblin Archer armies were completely wiped out, and the long-range ones were destroyed. Lin Chen knew that he had won this round, so he took out a bottle of small red potion, drank it, pulled out the arrow, and the area where the arrow hit slowly began to stop bleeding and healed. The dropped health points began to rise again. He raised his hand and threw the poisoned dagger at Big Goblin and ignored it. Lin Chen swung his sword and stabbed the remaining goblins to death one by one. The Big Goblin could only follow Lin Chen and eat ashes. When Lin Chen killed all the goblins, he turned to face the Big Goblin. Although Lin Chen was more agile than the Big Goblin had 20 points of physical strength and would die from exhaustion. It would only be Lin Chen. When they meet on a narrow road, the brave one wins. The eldest brother Bulin swings his big stick and slashes down. Lin Chen ducks sideways and takes the opportunity to swipe the sword. 3 minutes later, with poisoned dagger and Lin Chen swiping their swords from time to time, Big Goblin's health points were cleared, and Lin Chen swung his sword to chop off Big Goblin's head. Hint: you killed the Big Goblin. Tip: you got the treasure chest green. Without time to rest, Lin Chen kicked away the Goblin Shaman's throne, revealing a dozen goblin cubs inside. Kill them all without mercy. Once the cubs are left behind, these goblin cubs will learn their lessons, become more cunning, and then come back. Lin Chen panted and looked at the goblin corpses everywhere and laughed. He successfully broke into the goblin cave and eliminated all the goblins. Regarding this battle, Lin Chen lamented, "The physical strength is still too low, and I won't be able to hold on any longer." Lin Chen first picked up the throne equipment and then began to count the treasure boxes. 2 treasure chests green, 4 treasure chests white. Rubbing his hands excitedly, he quickly opened it while taking advantage of the lucky bonus of the novice token. Hint: you opened the treasure chest green. Tip: you have obtained the fireball skill green. Tip: you got 2000 game coins. Fireball. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: green. Category: skill book. Requirements for use: intelligence greater than 10 points. Rating: 30. Effect: consumes 50 points of mana energy to launch a fireball, the damage is intelligence 5. Introduction: there is nothing that one fireball cannot solve. If there is, then 2. Skill book: it's still fireball. Lin Chen was overjoyed, it was so valuable. Although Lin Chen did not plan to use the legal system, the equipment and skills of the legal system were generally much more expensive. It would be a loss to sell the fireball directly, so it would be good to use it as a replacement. Touching the fireball technique with both hands, I was still frightened. One fireball shot would kill him immediately, and 2 shots would kill him directly. The damage was really high. Hint: you opened the treasure chest green. Tip: you got the goblin's big stick green. Tip: you got 1,500 game coins. Goblin's big wooden club. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: green. Category: weapons. Durability: 100/100s. Attack power: 17 to 40. Rating: 17. Equipment requirements: 10 points of strength can be used, 12 points of strength can be used flexibly. Equipment effect 1, stun. When hitting the head hard, the chance of being stunned will be increased by a certain amount. Introduction: it can really make you dizzy. If you don't believe me, let me give it a try. Lin Chen was speechless. You and Goblin's Stick are from the same series, right? I've hit you on the head, and I don't care if you are dizzy or not. It's a green waste, right? Forget it, it's better than nothing. Open 4 treasure chests, white, harvest 4 white materials, and 600 game coins. It would be nice if there was another poisoned dagger. This one is quite useful. Lin Chen was a little pity that the previous one was damaged in the fight with Big Brother Blin. Putting these items into the storage space, I feel that the space is a bit insufficient, and the durability of golden silk soft armor has also dropped significantly. All these require money, and I still have debts. Lin Chen felt poor. Unwilling to give up, he wandered around the goblin cave to see if any fish had slipped through the net. Suddenly, he felt something in his mind and walked into a passage. There was a large pit at the end of the passage. Lin Chen walked over and took a closer look. There were only numerous bones. He felt that this was where he was guided. Lin Chen dug out a ring from the bones with a heavy heart. Tip: you have obtained the Eternal Oath, female, white. Eternal Vow, female. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white. Category: ring. Durability: none. Equipment requirements: women. Rating: 10, white, full rating. Equipment effect 1. Guard: when in fatal danger, a shield equivalent to 20% of the maximum life is generated, which lasts for 10 seconds. It can be used actively and has a cooling time of 2 natural days. Special effects: Eternal Years, meditation effect increased by 20%. Introduction: this ring is engraved with our story. Love lasts like a tide through the years and will never fade. After Lin Chen was silent for a long time, Nan Nan said, Eternal Vow. This ring is also the best. Meditation is one of the most important skills in the legal system, and there is even a chance to gain permanent intelligence increase. If the male ring fascinates close combat, the female ring is simply the dream ring of the legal system. Putting away the ring and looking at the pit full of bones, Lin Chen took out the sack found in the village from the storage space. Working until the moon rose, Lin Chen buried all the bones next to the wooden sign. Maybe you don't like sleeping in that dark cave. Lin Chen sighed. Since I have taken your ring, it is only right to help you reunite. Although Lin Chen is not a good person, he must repay kindness. Lin Chen looked at the 2 moons in the sky, a larger green moon and a smaller red moon. Under the cover of the night sky, the red and green moons hang high, and the light they shed is like shining lines, outlining this strange realm called the Sifang world. This kind of wonder can only be seen in this other world. I don't know what Shui is doing. Although she has only been out for less than 5 days, it feels like a long time has passed. Are the gods in the sky also watching me? On this chessboard called the Sifang continent, the gods are watching every living being and treating them as chess pieces. I am also a chess piece, just a chess piece in paradise. After Lin Chen admired the moon, he went back to sleep and waited quietly for his return. Tip: the main task, survive for 5 natural days, has been completed. Tip: the player has reached the return conditions, and the player will return in 30 seconds, please note. Transmission has been started. Body transfer in progress. The transfer is completed, the player returns to the exclusive room. The exclusive room is an absolutely safe place and no one can enter except with the permission of the player. Dear players, welcome back to the game paradise of all worlds. Players have returned to the World Game Park and rewards have begun to be settled. Game World. Goblin Slayer. Difficulty: LV1. Main mission: survive for 5 natural days. Completed mission evaluation D. Killed 52 goblins, evaluation increased to B. Kill big goblin, evaluation increased to A. Kill goblin shaman, rating increased to S. Final rating: S. Obtain rewards: player level +2, 10 free attribute points, S level reward, 10,000 game coins. Tip: it is detected that the player is the first game world and the evaluation is S level, the reward will be increased. Tip: there are additional blessings from God's source, Goblin Slayer world. A colorful light appeared, and Eternal Oath male and Eternal Oath female flew out of Lin Chen's body. The 2 rings were compatible with the colored light. After 3 minutes, the colored light disappeared and the rings flew back to Lin Chen's hand. Tip: the rewards have been distributed. Tip: you get an Eternal Vow, male can grow. Tip: you get the Eternal Oath, female can grow. Lin Chen checked the item information. Eternal Vow male can grow. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white 0/100. Category: ring. Durability: none. Equipment requirements: Lin Chen bound. Rating: 10 white full rating. Equipment effect 1. Miracle Sacred Shield, which automatically generates Miracle Sacred Shield when exposed to fatal danger and lasts for 5 seconds. The defense strength of the Holy Shield is related to one's own strength and can be used actively. The cooling time is 3 natural days. Special Effect 1. The resistance to negative effects such as Eternal Will, Charm, and Control is moderately increased. Special Effect 2. Growth value can be obtained by absorbing materials and ring-type equipment, and it can evolve when the growth value is reached. Introduction: Eternal Vows, like the stars inlaid on a ring, shine with our deep love. Price: not for sale. Eternal Vow female can grow. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: white 0/100. Category: ring. Durability: none. Equipment requirements: female unbound. Rating: 10 white full rating. Equipment effect 1. Miracle Sacred Shield, which automatically generates Miracle Sacred Shield when exposed to fatal danger, lasting for 5 seconds. The defense strength of the Holy Shield is related to one's own strength, and can be used actively. The cooling time is 3 natural days. Special Effect 1. Eternal Years, meditation effect increased by 40%. Special Effect 2. Growth value can be obtained by absorbing materials and ring-type equipment, and it can evolve when the growth value is reached. Introduction: this ring is engraved with our story. Love lasts like a tide through the years and will never fade. Price: Lin Chen held the 2 rings and giggled, but the growth equipment and its attributes were so abnormal that Lin Chen had never heard of it. After 5 minutes of silly fun, Lin Chen came to his senses, put on the men's ring and put away the women's ring. This is the S-level reward, so delicious. Lin Chen noticed the divine reward in the prompt. It seemed that every move he made was under the watchful eye of the gods, although it was estimated that this time he could only get 2 pieces of growth equipment with the divine reward. Normally, the first S-level bonus is probably only 1, but it is best not to go to the world of Goblin Slayer again. Under the gaze of a group of gods, Lin Chen said that he did not feel safe at all. Open personal information. Personal information is as follows. Player number: 19,820,009,527. Name: Lin Chen. Nationality: Longguo. Level: LV.2. Rank: not yet entered. Health: 100%. This attribute cannot be fully digitized. Energy value: 100/100. Strength: 10. Agility: 16. Constitution: 10. Intelligence: 10. Charisma: 9. Lucky: 1. Free attribute points: 30 points. Talent: killing promotion. After killing the target, you will gain permanent 1 to 5 free attribute points. This talent can gain up to 10 permanent free attribute points in each game world. Expertise: 1. Basics of swordsmanship. LV7 passive 2. Basics of fists and kicks. LV5 passive 3. Basics of throwing. LV5 passive 4. Basics of meditation. LV3 passive. Skills: none. Note: there are still 3 calendar days before the next game starts. First, he increased his strength, agility, and constitution to 20 points. Lin Chen decided that he had the talent killing promotion and had far more attribute points than others. He planned to develop it in an all-round way. The three major attributes of strength, agility, and physical melee are complementary to each other. However, due to the scarcity of attribute points, they are divided into shield guards, crispy assassins, and the like. Lin Chen wants to be a meaty, fast, and high-output character. An all-powerful warrior who leaves no weaknesses to himself. After a sudden change in his body that was greater than before, he clenched his fist hard and added 24 attributes in one breath. Lin Chen had never felt so strong. Lin Chen left 6 free attribute points as backup to see what the next game world would be like before adding targeted points. Intelligence is also required for melee combat. If your intelligence is too low, you will not be able to control your own body, as well as your senses and so on. However, Lin Chen's 10 points of intelligence are still enough, and there are currently no skills that require mana. Of course, the legal system is not just about intelligence. A strong spirit requires a strong physique. Naturally, a strong physique, strength, and agility cannot be too low. The high-level mage can really play a guest role as the berserker, and he can charge directly with a light. Thinking of this, Lin Chen was going to count the money and go to the market. The equipment needed to be repaired, the supplies needed to be replenished, and the skills needed to be upgraded. By the way, I also want to take a look to see if there are any flash bombs and poisoned daggers. Well, just for a look. After Lin Chen counted it, he found that he had received a total of 14,600 game coins, but he only had 12,000 game coins. There are still 2,600 game coins missing. Where are my game coins in the park? Did you hack my reward? Lin Chen asked the park. Tip: players borrow money from the first game world to activate equipment hiding and temporary detection. Tip: a total of 1,300 game coins are borrowed. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Isn't that 1,300? How come I don't have 2,600? Also, when did you take it away? Tip: the principal is 1,300 game coins, and the interest is 1,300 game coins. Tip: players should immediately return the money to the park as the basic rule of the park. Tip: for the convenience of players, the park will automatically deduct money when players have money. Tip: the answer to the question is completed. I wish the players a happy game. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Lin Chen is in pain. Loan sharking is not as bad as you. No wonder when the teacher taught these things, he asked how to repay the loan. The teacher smiled mysteriously and said that you will know it by the time. Lin Chen thought to himself, the teacher must be afraid that we will save money and lose our lives by not using equipment hiding and basic detection, instead of trying to trick us again after being tricked in the first place. Absolutely, that's what I think. If I became a teacher, I would do the same thing, Lin Chen said heartbrokenly. Lin Chen was ready to go out, but he had to change his appearance before going out, so as not to make enemies or be targeted in reality for other reasons. World's Game Park will provide very cheap face masking. Lin Chen was wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform, looking heroic and heroic. He was equipped with a green rainbow sword and a half-face mask on his face. The mask was dancing like flames. The eyes reveal a sharp gaze and a majestic air. No one can see the true face through the mask, unless he is stronger than Paradise. After looking in the mirror, Lin Chen was quite satisfied. A series of daily life products such as mirrors, clothes, and beds cost 200 game coins. They were all ordinary objects. Lin Chen said they were very cheap. Of course, if it is just a D-level evaluation, that is, if you only live for 5 natural days, you will only get 2,000 game coins, and most people will sleep on the floor in the early stage. Spend another 1,000 game coins to upgrade the storage space, changing the storage space from 1 cubic meter to 2 cubic meters. Lin Chen gave himself a pseudonym. No serious person would go out without wearing a vest. Morning light. Pushing open the door, bursts of noise can be heard, endless streets can be seen, and the buildings are strange, as if the styles of all the worlds are here. At least 1 million people in Guanglong Kingdom register as players every year. Those who have not yet entered the level live on this floor. You can imagine how big the space is. There are stars twinkling in the sky. As far as Lin Chen knows, you can also choose to live in the sun area. Anyway, there are various styles of sky, you can choose whatever you want. He turned around and looked at his house. It was a small house of about 25 square meters, in the modern style of the previous life. Lin Chen chose it. It was 1 story high. This was Lin Chen's exclusive house. No one can enter without Lin Chen's permission. The house can be renovated and expanded by spending game currency, and it can even be moved at will. The World Game Park is really nice. You can get a house for free, and you don't have to pay rent or mortgage. In the previous life, I was ecstatic when I heard about it, Lin Chen said with emotion. Lin Chen looked at the pedestrians on the road. There were robes, armors, ancient costumes, and technological styles. In short, there were all kinds of strange things. There are also some Lin Chens who are embarrassed for them. They can do whatever they want by covering their faces, right? Walk along the street to the end. According to the knowledge taught in the school, there is a teleportation hall at the end of each street. You can freely choose the teleportation location without charge. I randomly teleported to an equipment repair street, and after exiting the teleportation hall, it can be said that there are a dazzling array of repair shops, which are overwhelming. Lin Chen randomly found an equipment repair machine in an automatic repair shop. These are all fabricated by Paradise to serve the apprentices. Before entering level 1, the game cannot be stopped, and no one will practice life occupations at all. So many stores are essentially made by Paradise, and have no other disadvantages except that they are expensive. Lin Chen put the green rainbow sword and gold silk soft armor into the repair machine. The repair cost was 1,100 game coins, and half of the green equipment was gone. Wallet balance: 9,700 game coins. Isn't it just that I received a fireball spell on my face and was stabbed several times by goblins? Why is it so expensive? Lin Chen was depressed. When he came to the waiting area to rest, he saw a rather handsome man crying in his arms with a ferocious face. Lin Chen wondered, what was he doing? Seeing Lin Chen's curiosity, someone next to him answered. This guy worked hard to get a B rating. He finally escaped from the boss. His green weapon fell off and his armor was broken. He needs 2,000 game coins to repair it. First counting the 2,600 taken away by the park, minus the 2,000 for armor repairs and consumables, the B-level reward is only 6,000 game coins, so it's basically all included. Then now he wants to sell the B-level rewards and buy back the weapons and supplies. After all, he can't do without these. But now no one sells green weapons. They all bring them themselves. Lin Chen smacked his tongue slightly. It's too miserable. It was basically in vain. I went through life and death. In the end, I didn't just lie down and get a D level. I made more money. There is no free attribute point reward for B level. The level is the same as D level and only adds 1. Quote. By the way, what is his B level reward? Passerby. It's a green cloak, but it's hard to change it to a green one now. Lin Chen's eyes lit up and he walked over and asked, can I see your cloak? I have a green weapon. He stretched out his hand and displayed Goblin's big stick green. Man shows cloak. Night cloak. Place of origin: Vampire world. Quality: green. Category: cloak. Durability: 100/100. Equipment requirements: none. Rating: 28. Equipment effect 1. Silence: eliminate the sound produced by movement. It will fail if the sound is too loud. Equipment effect 2. Disappear: eliminate one's own smell, and be more difficult to be found in the shadows. Excessive movement will invalidate. Introduction: a must for murder and arson. This item belongs to others and cannot be taken away within 1 meter. It cannot be included in the storage space. It needs to be purchased to gain control rights. It is an excellent auxiliary equipment, but now everyone is more inclined to directly improve the combat. It can be said that no one cares about this cloak. Unless it is an S-level monster, no one will buy it. But Lin Chen was exactly the monster. His eyes lit up. Want to change? The man looked struggling. You have this stick, this effect, add something else. Lin Chen. Just tell me whether it's a green weapon or not. At least its attack power is very high. You can't reject it because its effect is not good. The upper limit of the white weapon is its lower limit, right? Change. The man gave up struggling. After opening the panel and completing the transaction, Lin Chen was in a good mood. The depression of having just been ripped off by the repair cost dissipated, and he happily left the waiting area. To be honest, the prices in the park are really too high, even S-level people like Lin Chen feel pain. He finally understood why so many people quit decisively at the first level. This is simply not something ordinary people can bear. But it doesn't matter, just die if you can't stand it, the paradise is very tolerant. Before there were novice tokens, the mortality rate for reaching the first level was as high as 60%. As a qualified player, you must weigh every battle. The gains must be greater than the losses, but as long as you take risks, you must bear the risks. A failed battle will most likely make the player bankrupt and die. Lin Chen knew very well that the World Game Park never cared about useless people who died. You can only adapt to its rules instead of letting the rules adapt to you. This is the world. As for the man being replaced, if he wants higher returns, he must bear higher risks. He also risked his life to get the big wooden club from Big Goblin. Lin Chen put on a new cloak, which is quite good and more handsome. It also has 2 special effects of disappearing. I couldn't help but think of the world of Goblin Slayer where I walked on tiptoes every day and was smeared with smelly plant juices. With the night cloak, I no longer need these. He retrieved the repaired equipment and then teleported to the exchange square. The place was crowded with people of all sizes. Lin Chen found that the trading square was divided into 2 areas. One area had many stalls and people coming and going, while the other area had much fewer stalls and fewer people shopping. Lin Chen first went to a crowded place for a walk. White 8 rated katana, 1000 game coins, cheap and quick. White 7 rated red potion, 300 game coins per bottle, pre-order as soon as possible. White 6 rated antlers, 80 game coins, cheap. I found that weapons with a score of 7 or above, armor and restoration products are very expensive, while the materials are very cheap. Lin Chen thought about it carefully and understood. It was difficult to stay alive in the early stage. There are no novice tokens in the second game world. All the money was used to directly improve combat effectiveness. These materials will slowly increase in a few worlds. Only then will the price of white equipment drop, but if you don't buy it, you won't survive until that time. I bought 2 bottles of small red potion to make up 5 bottles. Goblin Slayer couldn't bear to drink it, so I drank 2 bottles during the last battle. While shopping around, I also found some good products. Flash Bomb. Origin. CSGO. Quality. White. Category. Consumables. Rating. 8. Effect. Emits a violent flash of light that will cause blindness for 3 seconds if looked directly at. Introduction. No one eats flash bar every day, no, no. Bait Bomb. Origin. CSGO. Quality. White. Category. Consumables. Rating. 8. Effect. Make a continuous sound. Introduction. Stop guarding, there are bait bombs outside the door. Smoke Bomb. Origin. CSGO. Quality. White. Category. Consumables. Rating. 8. Effect. Generates a cloud of smoke that obscures vision. Introduction. The weather is cloudy today. Molotov cocktail. Origin. CSGO. Quality. White. Category. Consumables. Rating. 9. Effect. Create a burning area that lasts for 30 seconds, causing 100 points of fire damage every second. Introduction. Supervise the battle and charge quickly. Currently on the market. Flash bombs cost 300 game coins, bait bombs cost 100 game coins, smoke bombs cost 200 game coins, Molotov cocktails cost 400 game coins, and small life potions cost 400 game coins. Lin Chen visited several stalls and bought 2 flash bombs, 2 bait bombs, 2 smoke bombs, 5 Molotov cocktails for a total of 3,200 game coins, and 2 bottles of small life potion for 800 game coins. In the early stage, the effect of these technological throwing objects was still very good, but they were all consumables. If you throw one away, it would be money. Lin Chen did not dare to buy more. Then I sold 3 Hunter's Knife white and Goblin's Stick white. Fortunately, weapons are expensive now. Although the white weapons are all garbage, they sold for 1100 game coins, at least the repair cost was recouped. Lin Chen Wallet. 9700-3200-800 plus 1100 equals 6,800 game coins. Lin Chen wants to buy a detection equipment so that he can decide whether to fight or run away. However, now detection equipment is not only scarce, but also ridiculously expensive. Basically, the price is not less than 2,000 game coins, and the better ones are 3,000-4,000 game coins. After all, it costs money to open a park temporarily, and the effect is not very good. It can only detect a distance of about 100 meters, so the price-performance ratio is not high. Lin Chen gritted his teeth and spent 3,300 game coins to buy one. After all, he only had one life. Although he was familiar with the plot, it would be dangerous if he encountered an unknown game world. Binoculars. Place of origin: Liangjian. Quality: white. Category: props. Rating: 9. Effect: detect information based on the gap between the target and one's own strength. If the target is too strong, it cannot be detected. Introduction: a telescope lost by a certain Commander Chu. Wallet: 6,800 minus 3,300 equals 3,500. At this point, my wallet was empty, and I still needed money to upgrade my skills. I was losing money selling the materials now, so I reluctantly left this area. In fact, Lin Chen also wanted to buy some materials to hoard and sell them later to make money, but he had no capital. Not only Lin Chen, everyone also had no money. Although there were many stalls in the crowded area, they were all white items. Lin Chen didn't believe that no one was selling green items, so they all set up stalls in the less crowded area. Lin Chen walked into the green area and felt that the pedestrians around him were obviously much better than those in other places, and their temperament was much more confident. But yes, those who have green equipment on hand are basically B-level and above. Excellent kunai. Origin: Naruto. Quality: green. Category: weapons. Rating: 18. Equipment requirements: strength 3 or more points. Attack power: 15 to 30. Effect: enchantment strengthens, attaches various energies to kunai, and increases the effect by 30%. Introduction: well-made kunai has excellent energy conductivity. They all wanted to buy it, but they had no money. After shopping around, they found all kinds of green protective clothing and green consumables. However, they couldn't afford it anymore. Lin Chen smiled bitterly and thought of his wallet balance. I found a blank space, took a piece of black cloth, and placed Fireball Green on it, displaying it and stating that it would only accept barter, as long as melee or sword skills were accepted. Then he sat down and closed his eyes to relax. Naturally, Lin Chen would not use skills to exchange for equipment. The equipment would have to be eliminated in the future, but the skills could always be used. There was not a single green skill book for sale in the entire trading square. A passerby passed by Lin Chen's stall and found that the stall owner was very strange. He closed his eyes and didn't look at anyone at all. There was only a solitary item on the stall. Although the other stall owners were not enthusiastic either, they were not so aloof, so they stepped forward out of curiosity to take a look. Fireball. Origin: Goblin Slayer. Quality: green. Category: skill book. Requirements for use: intelligence greater than 10 points. Rating: 30. Effect: consumes 50 points of mana energy to launch a fireball, the damage is intelligence 5. Introduction: there is nothing that one fireball can't solve. If there is, then 2. Fireball, mage skills. The passers-by cried out in shock. Fireball and mage skill, these two keywords were like a stone thrown into a pond, instantly attracting the attention of everyone around them. He glanced at Lin Chen in awe and knew that he was definitely an S-level boss. 1 passed to 10, 10 to 100, the stall was quickly filled with people. Fireball is one of the most classic signature spells of the mage. Classic does not mean weak, on the contrary, all those who questioned its power were burned by the fireball. Even if Lin Chen doesn't die after receiving 2 fireballs, he will still be on the verge of death. Among all systems and schools, mages are generally powerful and have a high upper limit. The 9th level magic god of the 3 major superpowers, the Nordic Alliance, is one of the representatives. The surroundings were crowded with spectators, but no one bothered Lin Chen. No one asked about the price. Although they wanted it very much, they all knew it. Only S-level monsters could give Lin Chen what he wanted. Although no one asked about the price, Lin Chen didn't care. Although there are only a few S-level players, there are 10 million players registered in the Light Dragon Kingdom every year. Calculated based on the 100,000th chance of awakening the talent, there are also 100 talented people, plus others who have no talent, but have wisdom, courage, and martial arts. Dragon. There are about 300 to 400 S-level people in the first game world every year in China. Although there are few S-level players, they are not absent. As the game world progresses and the player's strength increases, more and more people will get S-level players. For example, in Lin Chen's first game world, it is useless to have superior intelligence. If you can't beat it, you can't beat it. Any strategy requires the support of force. These people who are good at wisdom will become stronger as they go forward. Lin Chen has never underestimated people in the world. There are many people in the world who are talented, powerful, and wise, but there are only a few people who can reach the final 9th level. Basic internal strength green, Beiyun sword technique green, black tiger fist technique green. Lin Chen waited from morning to afternoon. Although there were S-class people who showed off many skills one after another, and even people with superior family backgrounds made promises, Lin Chen refused. He just added a friend and contacted him later, so there was one more person. One more way. Although these are good, and the strength will be improved after winning, but for Lin Chen, they are too mediocre. He needs to be able to draw the trump card for victory. Shopkeeper, do you think this skill is okay? Although she was wearing a mask, a black-haired woman who could still be seen as a stunning beauty came over. However, Lin Chen's heart did not waver. He looked at Yiling Shay every day, and he was already immune. Lin Chen took it and took a look. Divine changes. Place of origin, the deer in the cauldron. Quality, green. Category, skill book. Usage requirements, agility 5 points or above. Rating, 30. Effect 1, magical movement, increased movement speed. Effect 2, variety of changes, dexterity in movement, improved evasion ability. Introduction, Iron Sword Sect's superior Qinggong. Lin Chen was overjoyed and shocked. The deer in the cauldron, the magic can change. Lin Chen kept his expression unchanged and asked, pretending to be unintentional. I do still lack a light skill. How did you come up with this magical ability and what is the effect? The woman struggled for a moment. This was given to me by a suitor of a eunuch in the palace in the game world. I think that eunuch can use it to avoid the siege of several soldiers. But this is a rare green Qinggong with a full score, and the effect is definitely good, the woman quickly added. Lin Chen was speechless. It seems that the protagonist Wei Xiaobao has a variety of magical abilities. Wei Xiaobao, a pervert, has never seen a woman from the extraordinary world. He even gave away his own trump card. This Iron Sword sect sounds like a third-rate sect, and its users are still eunuchs. Let's add some more. Lin Chen expressed his excitement but also disliked raising the price. The woman gritted her teeth and took out another item. She really wanted the fireball technique. Blood boiling potion, deteriorated version. Place of origin, various worlds game park. Quality, green. Category, consumables. Requirements for use, intelligence 7 or above. Rating, 21. Effect, boils blood, increases strength, agility, and constitution by 5 points, lasting for 1 minute, valid for attributes below 50 points. After the time is over, strength, agility, and constitution temporarily decrease by 10 points, lasts for 1 hour. Introduction, a failed work by a dragon alchemist. It loses the effect of increasing blood concentration, but can be used by people without blood. 2 for 1, the woman took out the life-saving items. Lin Chen said hesitantly, okay, deal, and the two exchanged items. My name is Xingyu, please add me as a friend. If you have any good things, please contact me. Lin Chen said, morning light. Farewell to Xingyu. Lin Chen returned to his private space and tried hard to suppress the rising corners of his mouth. Magic changes, the protagonist Wei Xiaobao's special skill, the cornerstone of Wei Xiaobao's legendary experience, can be said to be the official plugin opened by Mr. Jin Yang for the protagonist, known as Shaolingbo Weibo. It is the world that has limited divine movement. If you find a profound internal skill, you might as well upgrade it to blue. Just replacing divine movement with fireball technique is more than enough, let alone adding another one. A green quality, blood-boiling potion, deteriorated version. It can only be said that the Iron Sword sect is a third-rate sect. If you call the Xiaoyao sect, Lin Chen will probably have to add something to get it. Of course, Xingyu was not at a loss, at least she also succeeded in getting the fireball technique she wanted, and everyone was happy. Lin Chen learned magic movement. A golden light flew into Lin Chen's mind, and a figure began to rehearse in Lin Chen's mind. Lin Chen's eyes were in a trance. After coming back to his senses, he knew exactly how to perform the various changes in the divine line. Open Skills Panel. Skill 1. Divine Movement. LV1 Active Skill. Conditions of use. None. Effect 1. Magical Movement. Movement speed increased by 30%. Effect 2. Variety of changes, improved dodge ability. Lin Chen tried taking a few steps, and not only did it work well, but he was also very handsome. If he were not handsome, Wei Xiaobao could have married 7 wives. Wei Xiaobao didn't have the magic skills before. Sneak attacks, secret plots, spreading lime, concealing sweat medicine and other methods. After Wei Xiaobao's magical actions and various transformations, Wei Xiaobao was seen performing qinggong, flowing gracefully and nimbly among the enemies, without even a leaf touching his body. In an instant, several people were killed in a row. Wei Xiaobao's sword stabbed them in the back. After a while, all the enemies were dead. On Tongqi Island, he dared to charge the Qing army head-on, entering and exiting 7 times, just like Zhao Zilong was alive. And there is no consumption at all. It can be said that it is an active skill on the surface, but in fact it is a passive skill. Lin Chen was secretly happy. It was indeed the exclusive character for the protagonist. If Wei Xiaobao hadn't been lustful, it would have been absolutely impossible for Lin Chen to get it. It was getting late, but Lin Chen was excited. He slept until he woke up naturally before being teleported back. Now he is not sleepy at all. Unable to sleep, Lin Chen went out. He was going to improve his skills. He added more than 20 attribute points, but he was not yet proficient in his body. He could only say that walking was fine for normal combat, but he still needed practice to fully master his body. Walk into the teleportation hall on the street, select training ground and teleport. Tip: the transfer has been completed and the target training ground has been reached. Players are welcome to use the training ground. Please select a mode. Teaching mode, practical combat mode, free practice mode. Lin Chen thought for a while and chose the actual combat mode. He had to adapt to the changes in his body first, and the fastest way was to engage in actual combat. Paradise. Start actual combat mode. Tip: at the current level, the actual combat mode is 10 game coins per minute. Whether to enable it. Tip: whether to specify the scene and enemy. Turn on random scene, random enemy. Tip: the actual combat mode is on. There will be no real death in this mode, and there will be no equipment loss. The surrounding scene began to change, and Lin Chen appeared in an endless plain, with green grass dancing in the strong wind. Lin Chen had to admire the power of paradise to change the world. Lin Chen couldn't understand whether this was virtual or real. Ouch! A group of wolves as big as Lin Chen's waist appeared around Lin Chen. A gust of wind blew by, and a fishy smell came. More than a dozen wolves rushed up, howling. You don't have martial ethics. Lin Chen held the green rainbow sword in his hand and stepped on his feet to perform various transformations. He flashed among the wolves, dodged the attack of the giant wolf, pierced his throat with his backhand sword, and then received a claw from the giant wolf next door. After fighting to death 5 to 6 giant wolves, he was bitten on the calf. Soon a group of wolves surrounded him and quickly killed Lin Chen. Lin Chen suddenly came to life, gasping for air and feeling frightened, as if he had just been bitten to death by a pack of wolves. Before Lin Chen could relax, another wolf howl sounded around him. Paradise, your uncle, Lin Chen shouted. After an hour, under the attack of a group of soldiers, Lin Chen was like a butterfly flying through a flower. He dodged the besieging swords by a hair's breadth. He easily slit his throat with the long sword in his hand, hitting his heart. In just a moment, he easily killed all the besieging soldiers. Paradise ends. In this hour, Lin Chen experienced many deaths, including being bitten to death by wolves, killed by cows, and hacked to death with knives. Just like real death, Lin Chen was physically and mentally exhausted. An hour of non-stop fighting made Lin Chen he has adapted perfectly to his body, and his swordsmanship foundation has been improved to level 10. Expertise. 1. Basics of swordsmanship. LV10 Max Passive. Specialty effect. Increase the power of swordsmanship by 10% and the proficiency of sword weapons. Under the oppression of death and the understanding of the first game world, Lin Chen finally reached level 10 of the basics of swordsmanship, and the next step was to break through the rating. Lin Chen also experienced the extraordinary power of the divine power. If it were not for the magical power, Lin Chen would have been hacked to death long ago. After going back to take a shower and go to bed, the tired Lin Chen returned to his private space. He couldn't stop the game before entering the level. If he wanted to go home, he had to survive in the game in the paradise. Lin Chen lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling in a daze. Chapter 11. The next day, Lin Chen got up early, washed up, put on his cloak, and went out with the Qinghong sword. Walking on the street, enjoying the rare leisure, passed the free teleportation hall and came to the food street. There are delicacies from all over the world here. Lin Chen came to a small Chinese-style shop. Order preserved egg and lean pork porridge, xiaolongbao, tiger skin chicken feet, and maya meat milk. Looking at the ingredients description, it seems to be made from ingredients from all over the world, such as Liang pig and 9-color chicken. It's not expensive either, only 20 game coins. Lin Chen's order was soon served. It was really good after eating. The meat of the Liang pig was soft and tender. After eating it, it felt warm and comfortable in the stomach. Other ingredients also have their own flavors, so I won't go into detail here. After eating and drinking, Lin Chen went to the Skills Improvement Hall and took out the Soul Fragment Small. Soul Fragment Small. Effect. A precious treasure with various incredible functions. This Soul Fragment Small was dropped by Lin Chen when he killed Goblin Shaman. According to the school's information, only when the player kills the elite for the first time will he definitely drop one piece of Soul Fragment Small. This is the welfare of the park for players, and it is also the easiest piece for players to obtain. Soul Fragment Small. Soul Fragment Small. The most important function for new players is to break through the most important expertise. After registering as a player, usually after passing through several game worlds, the player's main weapon expertise will reach LV10. At this time, one Soul Fragment Small is needed to speed up the breakthrough. The first piece, Soul Fragment Small, the school teacher will emphasize many times that it must not be sold and must be kept for the breakthrough main weapon expertise, otherwise it is basically impossible to get the second piece. Only blue quality treasure chests can drop Soul Fragments Small, and only level 1 game worlds can drop blue quality treasure chests. Paradise, Breakthrough Specialty, Basics of Swordsmanship. Tip. Expertise. Basic breakthrough in swordsmanship requires 1 Soul Fragment Small and 1000 game coins. Whether to break through. Breakthrough. Tip. Start breaking through. Lin Chen began to think back on his sword training experience. He had held the sword since he was a child, practiced consistently for more than 10 years, experienced in the Goblin Slayer game world, the experience of killing for the first time, and repeatedly fought to the death in actual combat training, flowing through my mind. When Lin Chen woke up, he seemed to have understood the principles of swordsmanship. Tip. Breakthrough successful. Tip. Expertise. The foundation of swordsmanship has disappeared. Tip. Expertise. Sword mastery has been obtained. Expertise. 1. Sword mastery. LV1 passive. Specialty effect. Increase the power of swordsmanship by 20% and the proficiency of sword weapons. 2. Fists and kicks basics. LV5 passive. Specialty effect. Increase the power of fists and kicks by 5%, as well as the proficiency of fists and kicks. 3. Throwing basics. LV6 passive. Specialty effect. Increase throwing power by 6%, and proficiency with throwing weapons. 4. Meditation basics. LV3 passive. Expertise effect. Increases energy recovery speed by 3% during meditation, and has a certain chance to permanently increase intelligence. Swordsmanship proficiency and swordsmanship basics are indeed two different worlds. It is not just the 20% increase in swordsmanship power, but this is secondary. The most important thing is the improvement of swordsmanship realm. The basic level of throwing has been raised from LV5 to LV6. It should be improved by throwing 3 throwing knives and wooden sticks under the pressure of life and death in the Goblin Cave Decapitation. Goblin Shaman. Lin Chen had no choice but to practice too slowly on his own. He had only just broken through level 1 in basic throwing at the critical moment of life and death. Sooner or later, he would die in the game world if he relied on himself to break through. No wonder everyone is short of soul fragments. Without soul fragments, it might take Lin Chen several months to break through the bottleneck, but the Skills Improvement Hall can break through in a few minutes. Of course, the premise is that there are game coins. When I asked, it would cost 600 game coins to increase the throwing base from LV6 to LV7. Lin Chen said he couldn't afford it. Lack of game currency, lack of soul fragments, lack of everything. Originally, he wanted to buy some white ring materials to upgrade Eternal Oath, but Lin Chen only had 1,800 game coins left and really had no money. Then I took out 1,000 game coins and went to the market to buy some sundries, such as climbing hook lock, white piece of gold, white flashlight, white lighter, white video recorder, white, and a series of items. Then I went to the training ground to play in the actual training mode for an hour, and finally used the free practice ground for training. In this way, Lin Chen spent most of his time training at the training ground except for eating and sleeping. Soon we came to the first 10 minutes before starting the next game world. Open personal information. Personal information is as follows. Player number: 19,820,009,527. Name: Lin Chen. Nationality: Longguo. Level: LV.2. Rank: not yet entered. Health: 100%. This attribute cannot be fully digitized. Energy value: 100/100ths. Strength: 20. Agility: 20. Constitution: 20. Intelligence: 10. Charisma: 9. Lucky: 1. Free attribute points: 6 points. Talent: Killing promotion. After killing the target, you will gain permanent 1 to 5 free attribute points. This talent can gain up to 10 permanent free attribute points in each game world. Expertise: 1. Sword Mastery, LV1 passive. 2. Fists and Kicks Basics, LV5 passive. 3. Throwing Basics, LV6 passive. 4. Meditation Basics, LV4 passive. Skill: Skill 1. Divine Movement, LV10 active skill. Quality: green. Conditions of use: none. Effect 1. Magical movement, movement speed increased by 40%. Effect 2. Variety of changes, improved dodge ability. Equipment: 1. Qinghong Sword green. 2. Gold Silk Soft Nails green. 3. Night Cloak green. 4. Eternal Vow Mail white. The skill of divine movement can be said to improve rapidly, and it can only be said that it is worthy of being a plug-in for the protagonist. Wei Xiaobao is quite old, and his talent in martial arts is average. He can learn and fight on the same day. It can be said that he only has legs. Lin Chen said it smelled really good. Sitting in a beverage shop, drinking the last 9 game currency points of luxury orange juice. Except for a few spare game currency, there was really no extra money in his pocket. Lin Chen's eyes turned green, and all he could think about was making money. In addition to making money, Lin Chen was really having a hard time living without money. It could be said that he couldn't stay there for a whole day. Tip: the next game world starts in 10 minutes, players please be prepared. Tip: the game world has been selected. Transmission starts. Let me see what monsters are in the next game world. Lin Chen smiled confidently, then his eyesight went dark and he was thrown into the washing machine again. Oh no, it was in the teleportation array. Tip: players are prohibited from revealing anything about the World Game Park. Tip: it is detected that the player does not master the language of this world, and 100 game coins will be automatically consumed to master the language of this world. Sure enough, no matter how many times I sit on it, the teleportation is still uncomfortable. When Lin Chen woke up from the chaos, he looked at the deduction reminder of the park and drained his wallet. He deliberately kept 100 game coins without spending them to prevent this situation. If possible, Lin Chen never wanted to owe the park in his life. Money and loan sharking are not so cruel. When you come to an unfamiliar environment, the first thing to do is to look around and ensure your own safety. Very good. In a deserted alley, Looking in and out, pedestrians were constantly coming and going. Although Lin Chen had traveled through time for more than 10 years, he could still recognize at a glance that some girls were wearing kimonos. The material of the house is wooden house. After a brief analysis, it should be around the Shogunate period in ancient Japan, and it seems to be a safe world. Just as Lin Chen was about to open the panel to view the main mission, there was a sudden loud bang, and a huge steam train flew past Lin Chen's eyes, and hundreds of figures fell out of the train in the sky. To be honest, this was the first time Lin Chen saw a train flying in the sky, and a figure accidentally hit the alley where Lin Chen was hiding. The figure stumbled up from the ground. No, it cannot be called a human. This guy's heart emits a conspicuous red light, and starting from the heart, the dense blood vessels and pupils are also glowing red, and the skin is grayish-white. This is a humanoid monster. After the monster got up, he looked up and saw Lin Chen, who was looking surprised, and rushed over impatiently. Lin Chen dodged sideways, drew his sword out of its sheath, and pierced the monster's heart with the sword. The monster immediately stopped struggling and its whole body dimmed. Looking at the corpse of the dead monster, he roughly knew what kind of world it was, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. This world was extremely dangerous. Hint: you killed Kabani. Your talent, Killing Promotion, is activated, and you gain 1 permanent free attribute point. Open panel. Enter the world. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. World difficulty: LV1. World introduction: 20 years ago, undead monsters appeared in hordes. Human beings built fortresses called stations in various places and trapped them in them. The only ones that can travel between the stations are armored steam locomotives commonly known as junkong. Human beings have established a rail network that extends in all directions, and through the circulation of their own products between the stations, they can survive. Main mission: protect the survivors on the Iron City. The more survivors, the higher the rating. Side missions: none. Deadline: 10 calendar days. This world is a virus-infected world, and there are Kabani similar to zombies everywhere. They appear in thousands. Once bitten and scratched, even if they die, as long as the heart is still there, they will die within 3 days. Resurrect within and transform into Kabani. Kabani will be thirsty for human blood and will continue to move. It can only be killed by destroying its heart. The key is that its heart has a steel membrane that ordinary guns and swords cannot penetrate at all. It should be the beginning of the plot. Fuso City, which is transporting supplies to Shonjin Station, was attacked and infected by Kabani, causing Fuso City to be filled with Kabani. They continued to ride in Fuso City to Shonjin Station. Note: Fuso City is the name of a steam-armored train. The gate guard of Shonjini lowered the suspension bridge in advance because he was careless and did not confirm the situation of Fuzhang City. As a result, Fuzhang City rushed directly into Shonjin Station, and there was the train in the sky that Lin Chen saw just now. After realizing his situation, Lin Chen immediately wanted to go to the protagonist. The protagonist Ikoma is a steam-forging craftsman. Just tonight he will develop the weapon, Guan Tu, and then deliberately lure Kabani away with blood. Although the protagonist killed Kabani with the help of the Guan Tu, but was scratched by the attack, the protagonist did not become Kabani. He strangled his neck to prevent the virus from entering his brain and became Kabaneri. Kabaner is a state between Kabani and humans. It is immune to Kabani's virus, has Kabani's body and human intelligence, and feeds on human blood just like Kabani. If Kabaneri does not drink human blood in time, he will turn into Kabani, and Kabani will also attack Kabaneri. The penetrator is an invention that can change the trajectory of history. In this world, the technological tree is a bit crooked. The mainstream gun is a steam gun, which cannot penetrate Kabani's heart membrane at all, so humans are losing ground. If the protagonist dies, Lin Chen will lose this high technology. However, Lin Chen didn't know where the protagonist's home was at all, so he could only launch plan number 2, which was to help cover the survivors of Shonjini's retreat to another armored train, Jaticheng, so that Lin Chen could gain Shonjini's trust and status. After finishing thinking in his mind, Lin Chen quickly rushed to the city wall, where the leaders of Shonjini were gathered. Take out the binoculars and observe Kabani's properties. Kabani: hit points, undead, energy, 10, strength, 19, agility, 13, constitution, 30, intelligence, 1, charm, 1. Skill 1. Thirsty for blood, Kabani has a keen sense of smell, and will increase his movement speed once he finds blood. Skill 2. Infection. Once bitten and scratched by Kabani, it will be infected by it. Skill 3. Heart membrane, Kabani will not die before the heart is broken, and the defense of the heart is greatly improved. What a pervert. He's a 3-skilled soldier, right? He's extremely powerful, tireless, and can track him without dying. Lin Chen put away his binoculars and relied on the disappearing properties of night cloak and magic movement to run on the Shanjini house. Alarms rang in Shanjin Station, and a large amount of thick smoke filled the air. The explosion in Fuso City ignited the city, and wooden buildings were simply the best fuel. The fire reflected the sky into a gray color. Huge flames raged in the building, and countless Kabani crawled out of the fire. Residents were running around the buildings asking for help, crying and calling for help one after another. It was a hell on earth at this moment. Countless people on the streets were also attacked by Kabani. Kabani was pouring in from the broken door. Whether they were men, women, old people or children, once they were scratched, they would become another person within 3 days. Only Kabani. A mother called her children to come out of the house to avoid the fire, but Kabani next to her was already attracted by it. Lin Chen did not rescue anyone. These people were already finished. When Shanjini was rushed in by Fuso City, the end was already its doomed. More and more Kabani are coming towards Shanjini. There is no point in killing Kabani in the city, and Lin Chen won't be able to kill them all. He will also be tired, and once he is scratched, he will be infected. The top priority was to get to the city wall as soon as possible so that the guards could lead the people to retreat. Lin Chen alone could save a few people. Soon, Lin Chen came to the city wall and found that the densely packed Kabani group was climbing the city wall. The guards were knocking them down with steam guns. However, this was just a slow death. The steam gun could not break the Kabani heart until the steam ran out. It is the time of defeat. Among the crowd, Lin Chen saw a woman wearing a pink top and red skirt. She had a graceful figure and a flower hair ornament on her head. Next to him was a young man wearing a blue combat uniform, holding a steam gun and wearing a samurai sword at his waist. We found it, Sifengchuan Chengpu and her bodyguard Ju Ji Lackey. Sifengchuan Chengpu is the master of Shanjini, the eldest daughter of the Sifengchuan family. She is kind-hearted and is responsible for commanding the overall situation, while Ju Ji is her guard and is loyal to her. Only by gaining the trust of these two people, as a player with no legal identity, can he be qualified to board the Iron Castle and even gain a higher status. With his body moving slightly, Lin Chen quietly came to Sifengchuan Chengpu and said, "Good evening, Miss Chengpu from the Sifengchuan family." As a guard, Kuchi Leizu was shocked. Someone actually came to the lady's side unknowingly, and he suddenly reacted, "Protect the lady." "Who are you?" Lin Chen smiled and said, "Chengxi, my name. The first step is to show your strength first. If you are not the protagonist, as a commoner without strength, you are not qualified to talk to the rich lady." Soon, Sifengchuan Chengpu, who had received an excellent education, calmed down, waved his hand to stop the guard, and asked aloud, "I wonder what you are doing for me." Lin Chen said calmly, "I hope you can lead the escort team to protect the people from evacuating to Jiadicheng." Sifengchuan Chengpu smiled bitterly and said, "But I can't leave the city wall behind. Once we leave, the city wall will fall immediately, and the Kabani group will soon rush into the city wall." "It doesn't matter, I will stop Kabani." Lin Chen interrupted. "Are you kidding me? It's just you." The person wearing a purple turban next to him was sarcastic. "He stopped Kabani by himself. His brain is not broken yet. Whether it works or not is my business. I just want you to withdraw as soon as possible when I stop the Kabani group." Sifengchuan Chengpu asked in surprise, "What is your purpose for doing this?" Lin Chen shook his head. "There is no purpose, retreat as soon as possible. The people are still wailing." Before anyone could react, Lin Chen jumped down from the city wall, and the sight of humanity in front of him attracted all the nearby Kabani groups away. Facing the raging Kabani crowd, Lin Chen was naturally not looking for death or suicide. He knew that the heroine, Nameless, was on her way. It was only half an hour away, or at most 10 minutes, and Nameless would arrive, and I also have the confidence to save my life, which is a free favorability point. The Kabani roared low in the darkness, their eyes red and fierce. They formed a huge team and attacked Lin Chen. Surrounded by the Kabani group, Lin Chen's sword-holding figure looked particularly thin. The Qinghong sword waved, the blade danced in his hand, and the sharp sword tip kept piercing Kabani's heart. The indestructible heart membrane could only be said to be a professional counterpart in front of the Qinghong sword. Soon, Lin Chen led the Kabani group to the deserted house area. Under the light of the fire, the only sounds were the howling of the Kabani and the sound of the sword cutting through the air. With his feet on his feet, he can move in a variety of ways, nimbly dodging Kabani's attacks, and then quickly counter-attacking, as if dancing on the tip of a knife, full of elegance and beauty. Everyone on the city wall was stunned. Please, just a small scratch in Kabani is enough to infect a person with a fatal virus. No one has the courage to fight in close combat. Lin Chen's swordsmanship performance of this level undoubtedly amazed everyone when he appeared on stage. Where does a ruthless person come from, so strong? No, I've already peed my pants. I can't learn it. I can't learn this swordsmanship or this courage. Soon, Sifengchuan Chengpu reacted and shouted loudly, "Quick, don't let Your Excellency Chengxi's hard work be in vain. Now that the Kabani group has been led away, we will immediately escort the people to the Iron City in an orderly manner." After this battle, Lin Chen's identity was successfully upgraded from an illegally infiltrated mob to Lord Chen Shi, and he initially established his own status. The people fled in fear under the cover of the escort. Run away quickly, before Kabani comes. On the broken and burning streets, Lin Chen and Kabani played guerrilla warfare. With their flexible movements, they gradually defeated them one by one, leaving dozens of Kabani's corpses on the ground. Fortunately, the Qinghong sword's characteristic is to pierce armor. The hard membrane is really hard, and you have to stab it hard every time. Also, if it weren't for the magical changes, I would have definitely sent it, and there are too many Kabani. Quote. Lin Chen, who looked cool on the surface but was actually struggling to hold on, felt bitter in his heart. I have exhausted too much physical strength. Where is Wu Ming? Please save him. Boom. Leave it to me next. Only a gunshot was heard, and a pleasant female voice sounded. Lin Chen breathed a sigh of relief. It was finally here. In front of him, an 11 or 12-year-old girl was looking at him with a smile on her face, her eyes full of admiration. The girl wears a blue silk scarf around her neck, wears a red kimono, and holds 2 guns in her hands. If she were an ordinary person, she would definitely think that she was telling lies, but Lin Chen knew that she was the heroine of the anime, Wu Ming, a Kabaneri, whose body was unable to grow due to a virus. The pinnacle of combat power in this world. In the original work, he can kill the supermasters surrounding the Kabani group within the city wall within 100 seconds. Lin Chen could only support himself, but Wu Ming said, "It's just a racing game." In just a few dozen seconds, Wu Ming killed all the Kabani who were chasing Lin Chen, making Lin Chen envious. At a high place, the guards and Sifengchuan Chengpu had been paying attention to the battle situation here, and naturally they also saw this scene. Sifengchuan Chengpu exclaimed in shock, "So many Kabani were all killed. Your Excellency Chen Shi and Miss Wu Ming are so strong." Nameless. HP, 100%. Energy, 230/230. Strength, 39. Agility, 51. Constitution, 43. Intelligence, 23. Charisma, 9. Skill 1. Two-handed pistol skills, superb spear skills, improved accuracy. Skill 2. Proficient in swordsmanship, with excellent swordsmanship. Skill 3. Combat proficiency, able to quickly subdue the enemy. Skill 4. Dodge, fight for many years without being injured. Skill 5. Infection, once bitten and scratched by it, it will be infected. Skill 6. Heart membrane, Kabaneri will not die before the heart is broken, and the defense of the heart is greatly improved. Skill 7. Skill 8. 8 skills, agility over 50. Is this the power of Wu Ming? In the World Game Park, there will be attribute rewards if the attributes exceed 50, which is also a necessary condition for the first level assessment. And Lin Chen knew that among the invisible skills 7 and 8, there must be an explosive skill. That is, when Wu Ming takes off the silk scarf around her neck, her full strength will be unleashed, and her attribute values will increase significantly. Wu Ming cheered and said with a smile, "It's done, let's rush to Jiadicheng." By the way, my name is Wu Ming. Then he left in such a hurry that Lin Chen couldn't keep up. He shook his head helplessly, and it can only be said that he was a child, so he got up and chased after him. When Lin Chen arrived, Sifengchuan Chengpu was directing people to evacuate, while Zhouji Leizu was pointing a gun at a man wearing a red cloak. Lin Chen touched his chin. The man in the red cloak was the protagonist Ikoma. He was imprisoned by Kuchi Kurusu today for preventing samurai from killing people at will. He escaped from Kabani's siege in the evening and went home to complete the Guan Tu and became Kabaneri. Kurusu thought that Ikoma was able to escape from prison because he had turned into Kabani, so he wanted to execute Ikoma. There's no rush. Although Guanzong is very important, it's not the time to contact the protagonist yet. According to the plot, he will be protected by Wu Ming. There is no need to consume my favorability. I must establish more reputation and take the opportunity to seize the top leadership. Lin Chen looked at Sifengchuan Chengpu, who was directing the crowd's order. Currently, the biggest interference to Lin Chen's main mission was Sifengchuan Chengpu. Although Sifengchuan Chengpu has a kind-hearted character and a noble status, his character is too indecisive, and he was even seized by his subordinates on the road, thus losing control of Jiadicheng. As a result, her subordinates ignored her obstruction and insisted on taking a shortcut, and were attacked by Kabani, killing many of them. Later, I will use the Guan Tuo drawings to share directly with others in exchange for food. He listened to the promise of the villain boss, Amada Mima, and let him enter Kongo Kuo in order to save the Iron Fortress, which directly led to Kongo Kuo being massacred. He fled to Haman and formed an alliance with others to be used as cannon fodder. This kind of person is not suitable to be a leader. He has no ambition and is too naive and kind. Lin Chen must find an opportunity to seize her leadership. Although Lin Chen saved many people due to his efforts, he could not withstand her squandering. With everyone looking in awe, Lin Chen easily jumped in line and boarded the Iron City, and found a quiet corner in the main control room to sit down cross-legged. It's not the time to seize power yet, so I opened the panel and prepared to add points. I had killed dozens of Kabani under the city wall before. The 10 free attribute points of killing promotion were fully stacked, and 4 treasure chests white were dropped. Lin Chen is not in a hurry to open the treasure chest, there is no private space yet. Before coming, Lin Chen left 6 free attribute points as backup. Including those dropped by talents, there are currently a total of 16 free attribute points. After thinking for a while, Lin Chen decided to add 3 points of strength to increase the intensity of piercing the heart with the sword. 23 points of strength would make it easier. Then he added 3 points of physical fitness to strengthen his endurance. Lin Chen didn't plan to add too much physical fitness. Kabani couldn't kill him all, he just needed to be able to fight for a while. Add 10 points to agility. The most important thing in this game world is agility. First of all, Kabani will be infected. Until your physique is strong enough to be immune to the virus, the points added are ineffective and are just a waste of precious attribute points. Secondly, agility can avoid Kabani's attack very well and quickly break through Kabani's siege. Their physical strength is incomparable to that of Kabani, so they can only break out quickly, and Kabani's fusion group behind them is directly against city-level monsters. It is absolutely impossible to fight with strength, and they can only use agility to attack their weaknesses. Add more, Lin Chen began to endure the drastic changes in his body. Personal information is as follows. Name, Lin Chen. Strength, 23. Agility, 30. Constitution, 23. Intelligence, 10. Charisma, 9. Lucky, 1. After adding points, Lin Chen began to close his eyes and rest his mind. He had to regain his strength as soon as possible because there was still a battle to come. Then Sifengchuan Chengpu, Zhu Lackey, Wu Ming, etc. all came to the main control room one after another. Driver Yuna said, "Please, Lord Iris." Under Lin Chen's gaze, Sifengchuan Chengpu took out a key from the necklace around his neck. This is the master key to control the armored city. You must have the master key to drive the armored city. It can be said that the lives of everyone on the car are at stake. Keep it ready, ignite, start. After inserting the key, the Iron Castle enters the ready state. Sifengchuan Chengpu turned around and thanked, "Your Excellency Chengxi, Miss Wu Ming, thank you very much for your help." Joji lackey turned back and said coldly, "Your two names are Chengxi and Wuming, right? We are short of manpower now, please go and guard the trunk immediately." Many times, there are always some people who are proud of their status. Although Kuji Leizu is a guard, he is in charge of the entire armored castle guard team. If Lin Chen had Wuming's strength, he would definitely cut him down with a sword and let him understand what politeness meant, but he didn't, so Lin Chen could only figure it out slowly. Zheng. The sword light flashed across Joji Leizu's chest, leaving a scratch on his clothes. Lin Chen said calmly, "Sorry, this seems to be outside our scope. You can do the next thing by yourselves. We are going to rest." Afterwards, they found a corner, and Lin Chen and Wuming began to rest alone. Wuming covered himself with a cloak and fell into sleep. Lin Chen knew that Wuming was in an unstable state because he had just exploded with full strength. Kuji Leizu was very angry. How arrogant. Sifengchu and Chengpu had no choice but to dissuade him. They should be very tired after just going through the battle. Lin Chen said he was not angry. "If you say it again, I will chop off your head." "You." Zhu Zhilicho walked away angrily. "Have you not found my father yet?" Sifengchu and Chengpu came to the watchtower of Jiadicheng to ask. "Sorry, Lord Calamus, I haven't seen it yet," the watchtower observer replied. Just at this time, Kabani is here. The samurai on duty outside Kotetsu Castle sounded the alarm loudly. Through the glass windows of the station, everyone could see that on the high mountain next to the station, several connected red waves were approaching at high speed. Lin Chen took out his binoculars and looked at the red wave in the distance. The shots were all of lowered bodies, waving limbs that distorted their body shapes, and they were approaching the Iron Castle in groups at high speed. A rough estimate is that there are at least several thousand of them, and there are more Kabani coming from behind the mountain. Close the door quickly. Turn to confirm. The boiler reaches critical point again. The phase change begins. The driver in the main control room initiated an emergency start. Can't we go faster? The stove will break if you rush it too much. It was necessary to buy time for the activation of the Iron City, but Lin Chen couldn't help. He rushed up to melee alone and was looking for death. The densely packed Kabani group had no room to use divine movement. Within 30 Lin Chen would be bitten in seconds. The warriors from the Iron City quickly came out. They lined up on both sides of the Iron City. One row of warriors stood upright and raised their steam guns, and the other row of warriors squatted and fired to form a gun formation. Soon, Kabani's vanguard troops had already rushed over, and some Kabani used the speed of the charge to directly hit the glass on the station wall. Soon, the thick glass was covered with Kabani and began to produce more and more cracks. Ding! The glass is broken. Groups of Kabani rushed and accompanied by glass shards all over the sky. Pure 6 roots. The warriors collectively shouted for the 6 roots to be purified, which in Buddhism means, to achieve a state of being far away from troubles and without any desires, and began to pull the triggers to shoot. Segmented fire can knock Kabani back with a continuous barrage of steam bullets. However, as the bullets were empty and needed to be replaced, the dense bullet network gradually became sparse. The steam bullets could not penetrate Kabani's heart, and they would not be able to kill Kabani. If he was repulsed, he would get up and charge again. From time to time, a Kabani that is much faster than its companions will break through the fire net and rush towards the warriors who are lined up to shoot. This was Lin Chen's chance to take action. He penetrated Kabani's heart when he was about to attack the samurai. However, Lin Chen only had one person, so he could only guard one side. Wuming fell into a deep sleep and was still recovering because he had just burst out his strength. As time went by, more and more Kabani broke through the fire net. Lin Chen tried his best to kill them, but it was only a drop in the bucket. Many warriors were bitten. I don't want to die yet. I still have my parents, wife and children, and they need me. I still have people I want to protect. The bitten samurai used the self-determination bag with tears in their eyes. They knew that they were hopeless. If they did not commit suicide, their companions around them would also kill them. Even if you are bitten by Kabani, you will still have some sense until you get sick. Therefore, while human consciousness still remains, for the sake of other people and for your own dignity, you must carry out clean self-determination. This idea is basically, the items distributed by the shogunate to everyone are self-determination bags. He presses a self-determination bag that can be thought of as a directional bomb to his heart, and when he pulls the rope, his heart will be blown to pieces. In this way, the birth of a new Kabani can be prevented without affecting the surrounding areas. There are also warriors who don't want to die and want to escape. At this time, Lin Chen will stab them in the heart with a sword. Perhaps you have reasons why you cannot die, and there are people you want to protect even at the risk of your life, but the world is so cruel, and once you are scratched, you will turn into Kabani. It will not be transferred by anyone's will. If you want to become Kabaneri, even the heroine Wuming needs to undergo human experiments with a high mortality rate. The protagonist Ikoma only survives by operating on himself. There are no conditions for surgery on the battlefield. This world is like this. Without strength, you can't protect the people you want. Lin Chen said to himself. If he chooses to defend on the left side of the train, the death toll of the samurai on the right will be higher than that on the left. This is the cruel and helpless choice of this world. A few minutes later, the iron wheel rolled on the steel track, and the hot steam from the huge boiler spurted out, pushing the iron castle forward. The Iron City had accelerated to a sufficient speed, and Lin Chen, who had completed the defense task, and the surviving samurai retreated into the carriage. Lin Chen looked at the station that was gradually getting away. There were corpses in warrior uniforms there. They died before the train departed. There is a Kabani breaking into a public carriage, please patrol the warriors and go to support immediately. A siren sounded from the car's horn. There was a burst of chaotic footsteps. Kuchi Leizu led a group of warriors past Lin Chen. Has the plot begun? Lin Chen chuckled and followed. Arriving at the public carriage, Kuchi Leizu asked, where is Kabani? Master Kurusu, Master Chengxi, that's him. The people pointed in fear at a boy with yellow-green hair and a red cloak, whose heart was flashing red, exactly like the terrifying Kabani. It was the protagonist Ikoma. When Kabani broke the door of the car, he stepped forward without hesitation, solved Kabani before the samurai arrived, and protected the people. He thought he would be greeted by the cheers of the people, but when the people saw the red light on his chest was all filled with fear. Why is it you again? Juji Leizu discovered that it was the steam craftsman who had been imprisoned by him before, escaped from the prison, and had just been saved by Wu Ming. Sure enough, I should have killed you just now under the car. I'm not Kabani, Ikoma retorted eagerly. You Kabani, don't imitate others. Kuchi Kurusu raised his steam gun, aimed at Ikoma's heart and shot decisively, not wanting to argue with him at all. Bang! Ikoma was knocked out of the carriage and fell beside the track. Lin Chen did not stop him. This steam gun could not penetrate the heart membrane, so the protagonist would not die. It's not the time to save Ikoma yet. That would be against the people and samurai, and Lin Chen's newly established prestige would be in vain. According to the plot, waiting for a while is the best time to save the protagonist. He wants to gain the protagonist's trust and improve his prestige. Kuchi Leizu said coldly, block the door, and then returned to the main control room. Lin Chen also went back, leaving only a fat man crying loudly. He was the protagonist's good friend Yusheng. Kurusu-sama, there are enemies ahead, an alarm came from the watchtower. Kuchi Leizu asked while climbing the watchtower, how many are there? There are more than a dozen of them, but on the railway tracks. The observer hesitated to speak, and Juji came up to take a look. Among the many Kabani, there is one wearing gorgeous purple clothes and looking like a middle-aged man. City Lord. Zhu Zhilai is the personal guard of Sifengchuan Chengpu, and he is very familiar with the Sifengchuan family leader. Sifengchuan Iris also walked towards the watchtower. Laishu, are there many enemies? Lord Calamus, please stay below, it's dangerous up there. No, I want it too. Before he finished speaking, Sifengchuan Chengpu also saw the purple figure on the railway track. That's father. Sifengchuan Iri couldn't believe his eyes, and Zhu Zhilaishu forced Sifengchuan Iri down from the observation tower. No, that's just Kabani, you're wrong. Kuchi Leizu commanded loudly. Don't stop, crush the Kabani in front of you. Lin Chen looked at Miss Chengpu who was shedding tears and falling into sadness. In front of him was Chengpu's father. He left Sifengchuan Chengpu to command on the city wall and went to Jiadicheng to confirm the situation. Not only that, when the Iron City crushes it later, it will be stuck by his body, which prevents the Iron City from reaching its maximum speed. When there is danger behind and you have to run away at full speed, the iron fortress, which cannot reach the highest speed, will be overtaken and the people in the car behind will be lost. The World Game Park is really the sixth one. If another player is not careful enough to find the problem in time, he will lose the people in the car behind him and it will be almost impossible to get S level. The Iron City was driving slowly on the railway track. Behind it were the blazing Shonjin station and the carnival in Kabani. Semaphore confirmation. Stop driving. Connect the switch lever. Can't switch. Seems like something is stuck. The driver Yuna shouted that now Kotetsujo must lower the suspension bridge in front before he can continue driving, and the switch lever is blocked by the corpse of the castle lord, making it impossible to lower the suspension bridge. The suspension bridge originally used to defend Kabani blocked the escape route from the Iron Castle. The Kotetsujo was unable to move, and the entire train was in panic. Kabani was chasing after them from behind. They hit the car wall and climbed on the roof. Kuchi-Lezu gritted his teeth and went to the car door. He planned to leave the Iron Castle and go to the railway track. There was a manual operating lever next to the railway track to lower the suspension bridge. It has to be said that Joji Lackey is loyal to Sefengchuan Iris. He himself also loves Sefengchuan Iris and is willing to give his life for the one he loves. The observer shouted, "Look, there is someone in the Kabani group." Everyone went to the window to watch, and saw the protagonist Ikoma walking hard among the Kabani group, and continued to move forward despite being bitten by the Kabani. Although Kabaneri is not afraid of Kabani's bite, it is still very painful. Not only the people in the main control room, but also the people in the carriages saw the Ikoma fighting in the Kabani group. Isn't he Kabani? Some sharp-eyed people recognized it. Well, it's him. But why would he fight Kabani? Ikoma shouted. Watch it, watch it, watch it for me. The scene where the people you abandoned fought in blood. I'm here to save you. You will live with the guilt of being saved by the person you abandoned for the rest of your life. Then I will laugh at you to my heart's content in that world. Ikoma killed Kabani who besieged him and lowered the suspension bridge with a manual operating lever. Look, the suspension bridge has been lowered. We are saved, the people rejoiced. Driver Yuna. Get ready to go. The iron fortress slowly started to move, and the long train passed by Ikoma. People sat on the train and watched Ikoma lying on the ground. The train went farther and farther, and no one offered to save him. In the main control room, the people who were feared by Kabani finally chose to abandon Ikoma. Sure enough, just like the plot, the person saved by the protagonist chose to abandon the protagonist. Lin Chen had no worries in his heart. He had already expected that it was time for him to take action. No one will save him except the protagonist's friends. Zisheng threw the rope to save Ikoma, but everyone around him fell into fear. Are you crazy? You actually went to save a Kabani. Everyone stopped him. The time has come. Lin Chen quickly jumped off the train, tied up Ikoma with a rope, and then jumped back on the train. While everyone was shocked, he pulled Ikoma onto the train. Looking at the Ikoma on the ground, Lin Chen praised, "You did a great job." Fear spread through the crowd. Master Chengxi, he is Kabani. Maybe, but Kabani will not save you. I only know that he just saved everyone in the car. Don't you feel guilty? The crowd around them lowered their heads. They were not without guilt, but their fear of Kabani was overwhelming. Looking around at the expressions, Lin Chen nodded with satisfaction. He stood on the highest point of morality with his backhand and scolded directly, faintly raising his status by 1 point again. When you have enough strength but are not strong enough, morality will help you. This is also the foundation of the country that wanted to rise in the previous life. Faced with the aggressiveness of the world's most powerful country, countless wise diplomats set the foundation. If you want to seize power, you don't have enough strength, and you haven't cultivated your moral character, how can you convince others to follow you? Kuchiraisu snorted coldly, then threw a self-determination bag to Ikoma and said, I don't think there is any guilt in being saved by you. If you still have a trace of humanity, just commit suicide for everyone. Then he raised his arms and pointed his gun at Ikoma's heart. Seeing this, the samurai next to him also raised their guns. This guy is not Kabani. Came a female voice. The one who spoke was Wuming, who woke up from a deep sleep. She had obviously seen the scene just now. She took off her coat, revealing her heart that was also shining red. Wu Ming spoke softly. We are Kabaneri, existences between humans and Kabani. Everyone looked at Wu Ming, who was glowing red, and fell into shock. Kuji Leizu reacted. In the final analysis, he is not a human being. He turned around and pointed the gun at Wu Ming, and gave a decisive order. Shot. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Chen decisively drew his sword. He stepped on divine movement and danced in the crowd, and the sword light flashed, instantly cutting off the guns of Kuchi Kurusu and the samurai next to him. Then he flashed and came to Sifengchu and Chengpu in the rear, and put the sword on the girl's neck. Is this the way the Sifengchuan family handles things? Without me and Wu Ming, you would have died at Shangjin Station a long time ago. Without Ikoma lowering the suspension bridge, you would have been bitten to death just now. Now they are pointing guns at Wu Ming and Ikoma. I will not let others hurt my comrades who have just fought a bloody battle. If this is the case, then they are my enemy. Lin Chen held up Sifengchuan Iris with his sword and said loudly. It was useless to threaten Zhu Ji Lackey with a sword, but it was different if it was Sifengchuan Iris that was being threatened. The effect was outstanding. Lin Chen said it all, but in fact he still didn't want to kill these guards. After all, these people were still needed to protect civilians, and civilians were evaluated in missions. Moreover, Sifengchu and Chengpu would have accepted Wu Ming and Ikoma. According to the original plot, it was she who accepted Wu Ming and Ikoma. As a player, how could Lin Chen let his favorability be wiped away by others? He took the lead and wiped out his favorability first, and then struck Sifengchu and Chengpu. Kurusu, stop. Without them, we would be dead. The eldest lady said seriously. Even though she is kind-hearted, she could not accept leaving the two of them behind. Kuji Leizu said angrily. Let go of Akoris-sama quickly. Even if you do, you can't go with Kabani. Wu Ming said. How about this, Miss Chengpu? This Iron City is going to King Kong Guo, right? Yes, this is the arrangement on the itinerary. Note, Kongokaku was the center of the Tentori Shogunate and the largest fortress at the time. Take us for a ride. In exchange, Ikoma and I will not leave this carriage. Of course, even if you don't agree, we will not get off. In the main control room, Lin Chen sat by the wall and meditated. Although Lin Chen was a melee player, it did not mean that meditation was unimportant. Meditation could not only quickly restore physical condition, but also improve his mental acuity and speed up his reaction ability. These are the hidden settings of the game paradise of various worlds. In the Dragon Kingdom, schools will tell students that all melee masters are also meditation masters. This is also the reason why meditation will become one of Lin Chen's 4 major specialties when registering a player. There was a noise and Lin Chen opened his eyes. By just rescuing Ikoma, Lin Chen not only showed that he cherishes his companions, but most importantly, he gained the favor of Wu Ming, who is also the top powerhouse in Kabaneri. Sifengchu and Chengpu lost his relationship with the opportunity for Wu Ming's relationship to get closer. As long as there is a suitable reason, Wu Ming will not stand opposite him. As for the original protagonist Ikoma, his goodwill is enough. After seizing power, he can just become a weapons craftsman. It's not okay to let Kabani go with you without permission. It's not too late, let those Kabani go down. Some people with purple silk scarves on their heads are putting pressure on Sifengchu and Chengpu. They were originally senior executives of Shangini. Now that the city lord is away, Sifengchu and Chengpu cannot suppress them. Sifengchu and Chengpu defended. They promised me not to come out from the rear compartment of the car. How could Kabani keep his promise? Lin Chen silently listened to their quarrel. Sifengchu and Chengpu could barely suppress these senior leaders now, but it would not be long before he would voluntarily hand over the master key. At that time, Lin Chen would have the best time to seize leadership. As for Wu Ming and Ikoma, they were training in the last carriage, and they should be exchanging feelings at this time, referring to Wu Ming beating Ikoma violently. At this time, Wu Ming was beating Ikoma violently to improve its combat ability. Suddenly Wu Ming stopped. She sensed Kabani, and Kabaneri would have a certain sense of Kabani. Wu Ming believed in her senses, so she ran out of the last carriage and came to the people's living area, causing a big commotion. The fear of being seen as nameless in Kabani made them extremely panicked. The huge commotion soon attracted everyone who was arguing in the main control room. I've said it before, Kabani is Kabani, it can never be trusted. Sure enough, you monsters want to suck people's blood again, go to hell. Kuchiraisu angrily raised his gun and pointed it at Wuming. Sifengchuan Chengpu also blamed. Miss Wuming, why did you come out? Didn't you promise me you wouldn't come out? Drive them off now, Wuming retorted. Then give it a try. For a time, there was a strong smell of gunpowder, and everyone blamed Wuming's fault. Lin Chen, who followed behind, ignored their conflict, which was exactly what he wanted. After looking around in the car, Lin Chen finally found a pregnant woman among the crowd. This woman was the Kabani whom Wuming sensed. To be precise, she was scratched by Kabani before getting on the bus. Kabani converted humans. The reason why she cannot see the situation at present is because she suppresses the Kabani virus with absolute will and wants to give birth to the child in her belly. It should be noted that although the longest conversion time in Kabani is 3 days, most people usually complete the conversion in a few minutes. Maybe this is maternal love. Lin Chen sighed quietly. As an orphan, it was difficult for him to dislike such people. This was why he was willing to spend time on a civilian who was worthless to him. Moving lightly, Lin Chen came to the woman's side. Lin Chen was keenly aware of the disguised pain under the woman's calm face. Her face was pale, and she was fighting unimaginable pain all the time, and she had to remain silent, otherwise she would be discovered as a potential Kabani and thrown off the bus. She will do her best for her unborn child. It's a pity that there is no way to save it. Once infected, surgery must be performed immediately to control the virus below the neck. Once it enters the brain, it is irreversible. Lin Chen's eyes were extremely cold. He stretched out his hand and took out the prepared food from the storage space. This was all preparation before coming to the second game world. Lord Chengxi. The woman looked at the food handed over by Lin Chen in surprise, her eyes full of confusion. She did not understand that Master Chen Shi, who had already become famous throughout the Iron City, would care about her, a commoner pregnant woman. Eat some, your health is important. Putting the food in the woman's arms, Lin Chen turned around and left, sighing silently in his heart, enjoy the last night. Lin Chen hated facing things that he could not undo. Especially when it's clearly right in front of you, but you can't do anything about it. Oops, Captain, the emergency water supply tank is broken. The quarrel was broken up by bad news from the maintenance crew. We have to station maintenance supplies, otherwise we won't be able to reach the next stage. At dusk, next to the railway track beside the river, this is the junction of 2 railway tracks. The iron fortress is circling in a U shape, and many samurai are already patrolling the perimeter. There are also samurai on the roof of the train with guns on guard to prevent Kabani from attacking. Many civilians cut down trees from around Jaticheng and collected food. The steam craftsmen were rushing to repair the armor city. Under Lin Chen's reminder, they cleaned up all the corpses stuck in the armor city and returned the body fragments of the city lord to Sifengchuan Chengpu. Because of Lin Chen, more people boarded the Iron City and survived than in the original plot, which also made the supplies on the Iron City even more tense. Fortunately, Jaticheng had just arrived at Shanjini for supplies. Jaticheng arrived in the morning, and Fuso City attacked Shanjini in the evening, so Jaticheng still had a certain amount of supplies. Lin Chen stood on the roof of the car and watched the civilians below busy. As a strong man with superb swordsmanship, Lin Chen naturally did not need to do these things. He only needed to sit on the roof of the car and enjoy the breeze. When the busy civilians below see Lin Chen's figure, they will feel that Master Chen Shi is with them, and they will feel safe in their hearts. There is another purpose, which is to increase the sense of presence. Lin Chen's eyes flickered. Through the intelligence analysis of Jaticheng, he had already determined his own route to seize power. The entire Iron City is divided into 4 major forces. 1. Nameless. The Lone Walker, a Kabaneri, is the strongest person with absolute force, but has no desire for power and is easier to solve. 2. The leader faction, the guards and the samurai team are loyal to the eldest lady Sifengchuan Chengpu. She is a natural aristocrat and has absolute prestige among the people. As long as she does not commit suicide, no one can shake her dominance. 3. The management faction, dominated by the senior executives of Yuanxian Jinyi, are unwilling to be dictated by a young lady and have always wanted to regain their power. They also have a huge reputation among the people. 4. The civilian factions dominated by the protagonists, including steam craftsmen, refugee people, train drivers, are the largest in number but are loosely organized. Finally, there is Lin Chen himself, a lone ranger with good moral character and good swordsmanship. As the highly respected Lord Chenxi, he has a lot of reputation among the people. The best time to seize power is tonight. The easiest way is to follow the progress of the plot. It just requires a few abandoned children as sacrifices, but in order to save more people for the main mission, we must seize power from indecisive people like Sifengchuan Chengpu. Lin Chen felt helpless in his eyes. Now that he has made a decision, he should go all out. I just hope that the arrangements made in advance can reduce casualties. When the sun went down, except for the security and maintenance personnel, almost everyone gathered in the middle of the U-shape. The people piled firewood together and lit a bonfire, with some flags placed around it. An old man dressed as a monk and wearing cassocks sat at the front of the fire and read scriptures about salvation in the afterlife, and kept throwing some prayers into the fire. The civilians around him clasped their hands together, closed their eyes tightly, and silently prayed for the dead. This disaster caused many people to lose their parents, wives, and children. They pay tribute here, hoping that the souls of the dead can rest in peace in their hometown. Lin Chen sat on the roof of the car and silently watched the memorial ceremony with suppressed sobs and tears. The deceased had rested in peace, but the living still had to live with hope. Where did Lord Chenxi come from? Why did you come to Shanjani? A beautiful figure came and sat down next to Lin Chen. Lin Chen looked at the tears that had not yet been wiped off her beautiful face and replied casually, I came from a place far, far away and traveled here. Master Chenxi has no relatives anymore. I am an orphan and was adopted. I will go home after my travels. My family is waiting for me. Although Sifengchuan Chengpu didn't quite understand how Lin Chen traveled around in a place full of Kabani, she didn't ask any more questions. She smiled bitterly and said, I'm sorry to treat Miss Wuming like this. These words should be said to Wuming, not to me. To be honest, you are really bad as a leader. You have no way to stop your subordinates. Without a decisive heart, you will just follow the crowd. Lin Chen interrupted unceremoniously and said that Sifengchuan Chengpu has a kind personality and outstanding abilities, but he has been placed in the wrong position and is unqualified as a leader. I just hope that everyone can survive and create a better future together. Looking at the eldest lady with the holy light in her eyes, to be honest, Lin Chen was suffering from stupidity. Just as he was talking, there was a sound. Lin Chen and Sifengchuan Chengpu were attracted by 5 sneaky civilians not far away. They held hoes, sickles, etc. in their hands and walked towards the box where Wuming was at the back of the car. Do you want to go up and chop these Kabani to death? What are you doing? Lin Chen and Sifengchuan Chengpu stopped them. Looking at the weapons in their hands, it was easy to guess what these people were thinking. Sifengchuan Chengpu said sincerely, I'm sorry, Lord Chenxi. I will definitely persuade them to give up this idea. It's wrong for me to take action against the unknown lady. Don't stop me, Kabani should be killed. The civilians who were stopped were still shouting. Zheng. Lin Chen drew his sword. The bright sword light passed through the necks of these people one by one, and the clamoring civilians clutched their throats and fell down unwillingly. Sifengchuan Chengpu said angrily, why did you kill them? Give me some time, I will definitely persuade them. As long as everyone communicates well, there will be no problem. Your comments are hilarious. The sword flower bloomed, the sword shook, and drops of blood stuck to the fair face of the rich lady. Sifengchuan Chengpu's pupils shrank, and at some point, the Qinghong sword had stopped in front of her eyes. The boy's faint voice sounded. Idiots who can't see the situation clearly have no need to live. Whether it's these overestimating civilians or you, I don't understand how you have the courage to provoke the strong. You actually want to let Wuming be trapped in the carriage and listen to your mercy. You are so afraid of Kabani, but not afraid of Wuming, who is far superior to Kabani. Wuming can kill hundreds of Kabani in 2 minutes, how long do you think it will take for Wuming to kill you idiots? 5 minutes, Wuming can kill all of you chirping idiots in 5 minutes at most. Do you expect a steam gun that can't even kill Kabani to deal with Wuming? The weak who provokes the strong should die. You have to know that even I can't stop Wuming from taking off your head, Miss Calamus. In the original plot, Sifangchuan Chengpu used his reputation plus the charm of the protagonist and his hardworking skills to shake the minds of these people. Lin Chen did not leave a living place for these dead people, and he did not have the energy to correct these most extreme and unreasonable ideas of idiots. I really can't understand why 5 losers who can't even defeat a Kabani dare to kill Wu Ming with a hatchet. Ignoring Sifangchuan Chengpu, who was standing there stupidly, Lin Chen took out a bottle and collected the blood of these people. Then he disappeared into the open space. He still had a farewell to attend to. The memorial ceremony has come to an end. Children are chasing and playing in the square, while women are watching with smiles. Because food was scarce, soup could effectively fill the stomach, so people used bonfires to bake dumpling soup. Civilians who had worked hard all day talked over dumpling soup. The dead have passed away, but the living will continue to live. Lin Chen's eyes did not stay in the crowd. He stared at the pregnant woman who was praying silently in front of the bonfire. She had been praying for a long time, and from the beginning to the end of the memorial ceremony, the crowd dispersed. She is still praying. Perhaps the woman is trusting the gods to favor her and is looking forward to a miracle. Lin Chen sighed, but the reason why a miracle is because it almost never happens. The praying woman suddenly trembled, covering her chest from sitting on her knees to lying on the ground. Isn't it possible? Sorry, Mom can't give birth to you. The woman muttered, holding her belly. You have done a great job. May you set off safely in reincarnation and enjoy eternal peace. At some point, Lin Chen had arrived behind her. Lord Chengxi. Thank you for the food. The woman endured the pain and gave Lin Chen a smile. She already had a guess in her mind. She was afraid that Master Chen Shi had already known that she was infected as early as on the train. Ah! The woman suddenly stood up, her kimono collar loose, revealing her blood-red heart. As Lin Chen was a rare strong man, many people noticed Lin Chen coming behind a woman, and also noticed the blood-red heart. Kabani. Fear surged into people's hearts, attracting the attention of everyone in the square. Lin Chen looked at the swaying woman and slowly drew his sword. Farewell. The tip of the sword breaks through from the back of the heart to the front of the chest. The woman next to her shouted, Master Chengxi, Miss Nobuno is still pregnant with a child. Is your name Nobuno? I know she was scratched before she got in the car and is now hopeless. With a stroke of the Qinghong sword, Lin Chen threw Nobuno's body into the fire, because according to the plot, Kabani was about to catch up, and there was no time for burial. Instead of dying in the wilderness, it would be better to live forever in the fire. People looked at Lin Chen in awe, no one dared to say anything. In the anime, if Wu Ming kills Nobuno, he will be called a murderer. People were afraid of Master Chen Shi, but they dared to scold Wu Ming, who was far more powerful than Lin Chen. Lin Chen looked deeply at the rising flames. It was time to start. Dang dang dang. The warning bell rang and Kabani came. Due to the gathering of people, the alluring scent of humanity spreads around along the wind, and the surrounding Kabani is gradually surrounding it. The people, who had been frightened for a long time, heard the sirens, became extremely panicked, and rushed toward the iron castle like crazy. The warriors and Lin Chen resisted Kabani's invasion on the front line. Lin Chen's sharp swordsmanship made the people cheer for joy, and the voices of, Long live Lord Chen Shi, kept coming and going. Wu Ming and Ikoma were banned from joining the battle by Samurai Captain Aragawa Kibutsu. The reason was that they were afraid of a sneak attack from behind, and the two were locked in the last carriage and prohibited from entering or exiting. Because warnings had been placed around the area during the previous break, Kabani's approach was discovered more timely, and the Iron Castle successfully broke through without paying the price of death. However, the easiest place to break into a strong fortress is within it. Kabani's attack again caused resentment among the people. Under the control of thoughtful people, a wave of public opinion began to stir up. It's the Kabani that the Kabaneri attracted. They should be executed. Kick them both out of the car. Countless resentments were directed at the two people locked in the last carriage. Obviously, Sifangchuan Chengpu's gentle personality cannot handle it. What's more, she is being besieged by her subordinates. Is Lord Calamus here? Why didn't you see her? A group of people wearing purple headscarves broke into the main control room and unceremoniously asked a chorus to come out of the lounge. They were high-level officials who held the management power of Jodicheng. It would not do for a yellow-haired girl to stand on top of them. How do you plan to be responsible for this incident? It was precisely because of Kabaneri that this happened. The major officials questioned Sifengchuan Chengpu unceremoniously, and the responsibility for causing Kabani to fall on the eldest lady who did not know people. Kuji Lezu said angrily, "Ignorant people, how can you speak to the heir of the Sifengchuan family like this?" The leading official smiled slightly and said, "Everyone is in danger now. Everyone feels that it is slightly dangerous to continue to hand over the Iron City to your commander." Kuchiraisu was extremely angry. "Do you know what you are doing? How can you talk like this?" Sifengchuan Chengpu said in a low mood, "Indeed, I may be lacking in ability." "Then, please hand over the master key immediately." The officials forced him mercilessly. Sifengchuan Chengpu hesitated for a while and then obediently handed over the master key. "Very good, the Iron City will be under our command. Driver, the route has been changed to head towards the mountain road." The official walked up to the high platform with the key in hand and announced loudly that he had obtained the leadership with just a little pressure. This kind of rich lady is really naive. Sifengchuan Chengpu's expression changed drastically and he said, "There are many highlands on both sides of the mountain road, and there is a danger of being invaded by Kabani." The official said contemptuously, "This road is the shortcut to King Kong Guo, and I am the commander now." Lin Chen watched from the sidelines as Sifengchuan Chengpu was seized of power, and couldn't figure out what this woman was thinking. Although the castle lord is dead, her guard leader Kuchi Kurusu and samurai leader Arakawa Kobito firmly control the two armed forces of Kotetsu Castle. He is also the sole heir of the Shikagawa family, and even the defection of his destination Kongogaku, it was only because her uncle was a veteran of the shogunate that she was able to be taken in by King Kong Guo. Sifengchuan Chengpu controls orthodoxy, force, and connections, which is why Lin Chen cannot seize power by force. He is not Wuming, he has absolute force. The steam gun cannot kill Wuming, but there is no problem in killing him. If you don't agree with taking this route, then just grab the key. Your bodyguards and samurai team are all for nothing, right? Lin Chen was speechless when he first watched the anime, but that's okay. The key is no longer in the hands of Sifengchuan Chengpu. As an outsider, Lin Chen has no one to support him. It is difficult to get the key from Chengpu, but it is still possible to get the key that Chengpu took the initiative to give away. Now Lin Chen only needed a legitimate reason to get the key from the official. Since Sifengchuan Chengpu can give the key to others, why not give it to Lin Chen? Lin Chen's eyes were calm and unhurried, and he continued to meditate. According to the plot, the mistake soon came to him. Before seizing power, Lin Chen could only follow the plot step by step. With his personal power, the impact he could have on this world full of Kabani was too small. The planned time to seize power was coming soon. Lin Chen closed his eyes. Under the night, Jaticheng was driving slowly towards the mountain road, and a tunnel appeared in front of it. The mountain was crowded with Kabani. They took advantage of the terrain to jump from high places to the roof of the Iron Fortress car, and then invaded the car. Soon the rear carriage was invaded, and Kabani entered the carriage and began to massacre people. The leader of the officials shouted, "Use the master key to get out of the car immediately, and all the cars from the bottom behind will be separated." Sifengchuan Chengpu retorted, "There are still people up there." Official leader, "When necessary, the minority must sacrifice for the majority." The time has come. Lin Chen took action decisively, slashed the head of the official leader with his sword, and snatched the master key from his hand. Finally got it. Ignoring everyone in the main control room who looked shocked, Lin Chen began to make an announcement to the entire Iron City through the broadcast in the control room. "Now I, Chen Shi, will take over the armored city. All the warriors will immediately go to the back of the carriage to set up a defense line. The people will close to both sides of the carriage to make way for the warriors to support. I will not give up on any people in the Iron Fortress. Please calm down, stay close to both sides of the carriage immediately, and do not block the passage. Please ask the nameless lady and Ikoma to clear the Kabani on the roof of the car after they come out of this tunnel. I will go to the roof of the car to meet you." After giving the order, Lin Chen turned around. Sifengchuan Chengpu, who had not yet reacted to the unceremonious command, said, "Miss Chengpu, please immediately take the escort to the rear of the carriage to direct the warriors to resist Kabani and save the people." Driver, speed up through this tunnel, then slow down. Act now. The shocked Sifengchuan Chengpu finally came to his senses. Looking at Lin Chen, who calmly issued orders and handled matters in an orderly manner, he reacted and replied, "Yes. All those who are willing to fight join me in supporting the rear." As the eldest daughter of the Sifengchuan family, Sifengchuan Chengpu decisively took out her bow and arrow and led the guards up against the flow of people. Lin Chen nodded slightly. Although Sifengchuan Chengpu is indecisive, she can still be trusted to protect the people, and she is someone who can stand up in danger. Now comes the final step in seizing power. Sifengchuan Chengpu voluntarily gave up his position as leader. The official leaders had long been hated by people because of their wrong decisions that led to the invasion of Jiadicheng, and because of their ability to dispose of garbage in times of crisis and their fear of death. Lin Chen wouldn't have any trouble killing them with one sword. Next, as long as Lin Chen shows his decisiveness in facing danger and his ability to handle affairs. With the prestige accumulated previously in Sifengchuan Chengpu in order to protect the people, the leadership naturally came to the best Lin Chen. It's time to get to work. After driving out of the tunnel in Jiadicheng, Lin Chen climbed onto the roof of the car immediately. He wanted to meet Wu Ming quickly. Soon Lin Chen and Wu Ming met in the middle of the top of the train. Wu Ming replied tiredly, "Don't count on me, I'm almost at my limit." "I know, so go on. Drink quickly." Lin Chen casually took out the blood bottles he had collected by killing 5 civilians and threw them to Wu Ming and Ikoma. "I guess Kabani needs to drink blood, and you Kabaneri should also want to drink blood. If Kabaneri is not replenished with blood, he will not only become hungry and weak, but also turn into Kabani. Aren't you afraid of me? Aren't you afraid that I will turn into Kabani and kill you?" Wu Ming asked curiously. Lin Chen smiled and said, "If Miss Wu Ming wants to kill me, there is no need to wait until now. I can feel Miss Wu Ming's kindness. Chen Shi, you are indeed an interesting person." Wu Ming laughed. 60 seconds, watch me solve them." Watching the Wu Ming regain his strength, he went on a killing spree. Lin Chen also reached the invaded car through the roof of the car. Follow the hole in the broken roof of the car. The boy in black fell from the sky and landed in the Kabani group. With a quick glance, he spotted a Kabani holding a katana in his hand and approached him actively. Skill Taker Kabani. Hit points: Undead. Energy: 10. Strength: 23. Agility: 27. Constitution: 30. Intelligence: 1. Charm: 1. Skill 1. Thirsty for blood. Kabani has a keen sense of smell, and will increase his movement speed once he finds blood. Skill 2. Infection. Once bitten and scratched by Kabani, it will be infected by it. Skill 3. Heart membrane. Kabani will not die until the heart is broken, and the defense of the heart is greatly improved. Skill 4. Skill acquisition. Due to their experience in combat, some Kabani learned to use weapons or fighting skills, and their movements became more agile. It is more difficult to deal with than ordinary Kabani. Lin Chen couldn't let Wu Ming snatch the rare elite monsters. These days, killing ordinary Kabani would only drop treasure chests which made Lin Chen less motivated to kill monsters. The skill taker noticed Lin Chen's approach, immediately gave up on the corpse in his mouth, kicked off his legs suddenly, and accelerated towards Lin Chen with the help of the wall of the carriage, twisted his waist greatly in the air, and slashed with 2 samurai swords from left to right at the same time. In the 2-sword style, Lin Chen dodged an iron bridge and dodged sideways to avoid the subsequent vertical slash of the katana. The sword light flashed, and Lin Chen sideways slashed its arm, and the 2-sword style turned into 1-sword style. Lin Chen used the divine movement to dodge the ordinary Kabani who was sneaking up next to him, and pierced the heart with a backhand sword. The divine movement was simply born for the battlefield. The more people there are, the stronger it becomes. With the help of the wall, he soars into the air, leaps in the air, and presses the mountain with a push, which bullies the skill taker into leaving only one hand and wrestling with it. He split the Jatori's katana with all his strength, took advantage of his unstable position, staggered past the Jatori and attacked behind him, and then stabbed him through the heart from behind. Hint: you killed the skill taker Kabani. Tip: you got the treasure chest green. Why do they always stab me from behind? The same went for the goblins in the previous world. You can't rely on me, right? If I'm to blame, it's because they always face me from behind. It's not because I like stabbing from behind, Lin Chen muttered to himself. As for the other Kabani, they were quickly eliminated by Wu Ming, who drank blood and recovered. The samurai team immediately cleaned the battlefield to remove the corpses, the escort team conducted patrols and checked whether people were bitten, and the maintenance team carried out repairs. Yes, Lord Chengxi. Lin Chen smoothly directed everyone to handle the aftermath. Even Sifengchuan Chengpu didn't have any objections. Seizing power successfully. Tip. You become the leader of the Iron Fortress. Tip. The player opens the camp system for the first time. Tip. Players can view camp templates. Tip. Leaders can get partial feedback on the kills of their subordinates. Open camp template. Faction. Iron City. Leader. Lin Chen. Temporary. Number of people. 547. Special characters. Sifengchuan Iris and 2 maids. Driver. Yuna. Control group members. 4 people. Samurai leader. Aragawa Kibutsu. Samurai team members. 124 people. The leader of the escort team. Kurusu Kuchi. Guard members. 23 people. Maintenance team leader. Suzuki. Maintenance team members. 12 people. Logistics team leader. Loach. Logistics team members. 34 people. Steam craftsmen. 12 people. Ikoma, Zansheng, Chaogao. Population. 330 people. Supplies. Steam gun. Overall, it's not bad. There are 8 carriages in Jaticheng, and the 7th carriage was mainly invaded just now. According to the plot, Lin Chen already knew that he would be attacked. Although he could not say it directly, he used his reputation as Chen Shi to place a large number of protective barriers between the 7th and 6th carriages, and also suggested more samurai patrols. Show. The main people in the 7th carriage are also some disobedient thorns and extremely hateful people who are unknown. There are always some people who are going to die, so Lin Chen can only give up the worthless people first. Lin Chen convened a meeting with key personnel, and his temporary command had been recognized by everyone. Currently, I am temporarily in charge of everyone in the Iron City. Here I would like to thank Miss Wu Ming for her efforts. Without Miss Wu Ming's help, many people would have died. We should also reflect on this incident. The unknown lady was in the 8th carriage. If it were not for being locked and unable to join the battle, there would not have been such a heavy casualty in the 7th carriage. Everyone lowered their heads in shame. Wu Ming blushed and said that his effect was not that great. From now on, Wu Ming and Ikoma can walk freely on the Iron Castle, and Wu Ming will manage the order. Please ask Miss Iris to explain the difference between Kabani and Kabaneri to the people. If there are still people talking about Wu Ming and others, the first time they reduce the food supply, the second time they drive out of the Iron Fortress, I don't want Miss Wu Ming to save them. The people were insulted. The first thing Lin Chen had to do was to lift Wu Ming's restrictions. He knew the information about Wu Ming clearly. His true identity was the subordinate of the world's villain boss, Mima Amata, but he could be trusted for now. Sifengchuan Chengpu nodded and said guiltily, "Yes, I will explain it clearly to the people, and I also apologize to Miss Wu Ming for what happened before." Wu Ming blushed and quickly helped Sifengchuan Chengpu, who was bowing, to his feet. Lin Chen continued to give instructions. The logistics team is led by Loach and is responsible for food supply, child care, ammunition management, production, etc. As Kabaneri, Wu Ming and Ikoma can only consume blood, otherwise their combat effectiveness will be affected. Next, let the public cooperate and each person will take turns to draw blood once. Loach will be responsible for this. Ikoma has developed the cannon. Then Ikoma will be the leader of the R&D team and led all the steam craftsmen to modify the steam gun. Make sure everyone uses the cannon. If there is a shortage of manpower, they can be transferred from the logistics team. Ikoma was shocked and said, "Me? Can I really do it?" Lin Chen nodded to Ikoma, "I believe you. The protagonist just needs to be a tool." The Samurai Corps has expanded its recruitment to 150 people. They are mainly responsible for combat and guarding each carriage. Arakawa Yibito is in charge. The escort team has also been expanded to 50 people. They are mainly responsible for patrolling between carriages, maintaining order, and being vigilant. Kuji Kurusu is in charge. The maintenance team will repair the damaged parts of the Iron Castle as soon as possible. If you have any questions, you can ask me. The meeting is dismissed. Lin Chen took a deep breath and waved goodbye to everyone. What did he do? It's a joke. Seizing power is a matter of seizing power, work is work, and you must fish when you go to work. Isn't this common sense? After everyone dispersed, Sifengchu and Chengpu looked at Lin Chen longingly. In terms of management ability, she felt inferior. The eldest lady said disappointedly, "Sure enough, my ability is still far from enough. I still need to learn. When I lead everyone, I only have constant quarrels. I believe that Miss Akoris will one day become a qualified leader. Next, Miss Akoris will assist me in management." Lin Chen comforted her in time that it was impossible to work part-time. He urgently needed a tool man. Although Sifengchu and Chengpu was not good at making decisions, he was still very capable of directing her to do things. After all, she was the heir carefully cultivated by the Sifengchuan family. After instructing everyone to do things, Lin Chen sat in a corner and started fishing, meditating. He expected to get a lot of treasure chests after the samurai team's weapons were updated. It was only on the third day that he came to this game world that he took control of the Iron City. He escaped from Shanjini on the first day and held a memorial ceremony on the second day. To be honest, it's a bit slow. The game world is still based on strength. If Lin Chen had Wuming's strength, he wouldn't need to plan these things at all, he could just take over the leadership forcefully. In the morning, Jodicheng was driving on the railway tracks, and Lin Chen admired the surrounding scenery. On the left is a quiet lake, where you can see fish jumping out of the water, and on the right is a forest, with birds flying over. The train seemed to be walking in a painting. Lin Chen felt like he was on a trip. The beautiful scenery made his mind sober after meditating all night. He came to the carriage where the steam craftsmen were. As soon as I entered the door, I saw several warriors standing in front of the steel target, holding the improved barrel in their hands, aiming and shooting. Boom! The steel target was directly punched with a hole. The warrior's body trembled, and his heart was ecstatic. With this weapon, he could penetrate Kabani's heart membrane, and he could finally kill Kabani. Lord Chengxi. After noticing Lin Chen coming in, everyone greeted him one after another. After all, Master Chen Shi is handsome, has superb swordsmanship, elegant movement, and strong commanding ability in battle. It can be said that he has a lot of fans in the Iron City. Ikoma said excitedly, "Master Chengxi, the Qinghong sword you asked me to transform has been completed." Lin Chen took over the Qinghong sword. In the plot, the heart membrane can be used to strengthen the sword. Lin Chen naturally would not miss it and immediately placed an order with Ikoma to ask for strengthening. As for the fee, of course it is free of charge. How can you be the supreme leader and command your subordinates to work without any conditions? Qinghong sword. Place of origin. Various worlds game park. Quality. Green. Category. Weapons. Durability. 100 100s. Attack power. 19 to 40 increased by 4 to 10. Equipment requirements. 5 points of strength can be used, and more than 7 points of strength can be used flexibly. Rating. 30 green weapon extreme rating. Equipment effect 1. Cutting iron like mud, this weapon has a 15% increased by 5% armor breaking effect. Special effect. Strong, the strength of the sword body is increased by 50%. Introduction. The entire sword is made of fine copper and is forged by hand for more than 49 days. The sword body is engraved with the word, Qinghong. Later, it was modified by Kabani's heart membrane, which greatly improved the strength and sharpness. The improved Qinghong sword has dark red lines, so it was renamed Red Rainbow Sword. Lin Chen was very distressed. One day later, on the Iron City, the unknown lady was playing shogi with the children, and the women around her were chatting and laughing. The steam craftsmen worked overtime to improve the barrel, and the warriors couldn't put it down with the new equipment. Kurusu Kuchi and Kibito Arakawa practice swordsmanship with swords modified by Ikoma. It can be said that they are thriving and enjoying the rare comfort on the way to escape. Suddenly the Iron City gradually came to a halt. Sifengchu and Iris came to Lin Chen, who was meditating, and reported, "Master Chengxi, we have arrived at Yashira Station." Horn signal. The observer reported, "Master Chengxi, Yashira Station did not respond, and the suspension bridge of the gate has been lowered. It may have been captured by Kabani. We saw smoke ahead, and there seems to be survivors. Immediately organize a number of people for rescue. ask the unknown lady to conduct reconnaissance, the warrior team will search for survivors and bring them back, the escort team will be on guard, and the logistics will arrange food. Under Lin Chen's order, the armored castle did not drive into Yatsushiro Station. The escort team was on guard on and around the roof of the armored castle. The logistics department checked whether the survivors brought back by the samurai had any injuries and arranged food. After a search, only about 200 survivors were found. A post city can range from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people. After the Kobani attack, there are only so many people left. It is no wonder that people are afraid of Kobani deep in their bones. The surviving people were waiting in line to get on the bus, while Wu Ming was comforting the frightened children after the city was breached, like a caring big sister. Suddenly, Wu Ming was attracted by a middle-aged man who was blind in one eye and lame on one leg, holding a bamboo pole in the team of survivors. The man apparently also noticed Wu Ming. A trace of shock flashed in Wu Ming's eyes, and his pupils shrank. How could he be here? The man took the initiative to pass by Wu Ming, passed him by, and whispered, "I'll wait for you outside." Where there is no one, the nameless and the man stand opposite each other. The man said, "Long time no see, I didn't expect to meet you here." Wu Ming said coldly, "I haven't seen you for a long time, what are you doing?" The man stroked his prosthetic limb and said, "Even if I withdraw from the front line, I can still help the young master from behind." "What do you want from me?" Wu Ming was a little impatient, but the man didn't care and whispered to himself. 20 days ago, the Shogunate group purchased a large number of weapons, which are used to deal with people. They went to report to the young master that they had suspicious behavior. I, Nenaku, will go through fire and water when young master is in need. Wu Ming looked cold. "Even if you do this, you won't be able to return to my brother. Goodbye." Just when Wu Ming turned to leave, Enahyu suddenly took out a knife and slashed Wu Ming's neck from behind, but Wu Ming easily held the knife in place with the dagger in his right hand. "What? I haven't heard your answer yet. Even if you were once my brother's ear, if you continue to act like this, I will still kill you." Enahyu sneered. "You are the one whose life is hanging by a thread, right?" He held a gun in his other hand and pointed it at Wu Ming's back heart, which was also the core of Kabaneri. "Wu Ming, you have become dull. Is now the time to play friendly games with those civilians? You are the claw of the young master. The value of your existence is to kill Kabani for the young master. If you slack off even a little bit, you will be abandoned. This is the advice given to you by the once abandoned ear." Enoji sighed a few words, then turned and left, leaving Wu Ming with an ugly expression behind. Hiding his figure through the ruins, just as Enoji passed by an abandoned wall, suddenly a sword tip passed through his heart, and Lin Chen walked out from the shadow behind it. I have to say that the disappearance of Night Cloak plus magic transformation are a perfect match. Even the former ear was easily killed by a backstab. Lin Chen said again that it was just that the enemy's back was facing him, and it was definitely not his preference for backstabbing. Recall the plot. Enahisa was the former ear of Mumi Amata, Mumi's elder brother, but was later abandoned. Don't look at the fact that he just passed information to Mumi, but he is actually working for the Shogunate now. He wanted to lure Amata Mima into a desperate situation to assassinate him, and then when he was about to succeed in the assassination, he told Amato Mima that he had always been loyal to Amato Mima, and as long as Amata Mima would use his order again, he can kill all enemies for Amata Mima. However, he was rejected by Amata Mima and was hacked to death with a sword. How should I put it? He is a licking dog that licks to the extreme. He is also a man, and the gender is wrong. It is terrible. Therefore, Anoki must not be left on the Iron Castle for a long time, otherwise Lin Chen's equipment, number of people and other information will not be preserved. A cold light flashed in Lin Chen's eyes, as for the so-called elder brother. Mima Amatori, the ultimate villain in the anime, the son of Shogun Amatori and the leader of the Karakata organization. 10 years ago, when he was conquering Kabani, he was cut off from logistics because his father was afraid of him. After narrowly escaping death, he broke up with his father and never returned to King Kong Guo. Later, the Karakata organization was established to crusade against Kabani. On the surface, he was a hero, but secretly he was a twisted pervert. He just wanted to massacre one city after another. For this reason, he conducted human experiments, and Wuming was one of the results of his experiments. He accumulated strength in order to return to King Kongguo one day, and then massacre the entire city. Wuming. His original name is Hozumi. He was rescued by Amada Mima when he was young. He was renamed Wuming. He was trained as a weapon by Amado Mima. He was instilled with the twisted belief that the weak will die and the strong will survive, but he still can't change its good nature. In order not to be abandoned, Wuming took the initiative to conduct human experiments and became Kabaneri. His dream is to kill all Kabani for his brother and create a world where everyone can eat rice. The plot line of the Iron Fortress is very simple. It is the story of an armored train constantly escaping along the railway. Due to railway restrictions, the route has already been fixed. As long as he continues to escape, the encounter with Amada Mima is inevitable. The final destination of the Iron Fortress is Kongo Goku. For Mima Amada, who has been secretly restricted by the Shogunate and cannot approach Kongo Goku. The Sifagawa Iris, whose uncle was a senior official in the Shogunate, was undoubtedly a gift from the sky. By controlling the Iron Fortress and infiltrating the Kongo Kingdom, this kind of plan can be easily made. In order to destroy King Kongguo, Amada Mima will hide a large amount of Kabani on the Iron Fortress, and the food will naturally be the people of the original Iron Fortress. This is unbearable for Lin Chen's main mission. Everyone is feeding Kabani, so what should he do? As the ultimate villain, Amatori Mima has the loyal Karakata people, Kabaneri troops such as Nameless, firefighting, etc. It can be said that the power is huge, and even 10 armored cities are not enough to kill everyone. Lin Chen was definitely no match for him if he beat him head-on. Wuming was probably the first one to cut him. Looking at the bright sun in the distance, Lin Chen stood there, stroking the surface of the Qinghong sword with his fingers, the cloak behind him dancing in the wind, and murmured. Yes, status, prestige, power, technology, etc. are all inferior to others. The son of the shogun, a hero recognized by the people, the undefeated Karakata, master of advanced biotechnology, and even his own strength, Mima Amatori is also a male Kabaneri. No matter from which perspective, I have no chance of winning. However, nothing is absolute, only one thing is important. You are in the light, I am in the dark. You know nothing about me, I know everything about you. That's enough, this is a trump card. The weak defeats the strong. A snake can swallow an elephant, so why not? It should be noted that the wind rises from the end of Qingping, and the waves form from the gentle waves. Zheng. The green rainbow sword buzzed, and the sharp blade reflected the black pupils. Main control room. Lord Chengxi, according to the survivors' information, 3 days ago, a huge black mist crossed the city wall, and then countless Kabani appeared, and the entire town turned into hell. And the shaft platform inside the fort collapsed on the railway track. If we want to go around, we will have to walk for more than 10 days. Sifengchuan Chengpu reported the information to Lin Chen, who came to the main control room. Ikoma said, I have a suggestion. We can go to the center of Yashura Station. There is a steam boiler crane there. We can use it to remove the shaft platform. As long as we walk like this, we can avoid most of Kabani, and there is only one narrow passage here. As long as we hold on here. Ikoma pointed at the map to plan a course of action. No need to go to such trouble, just rush in. You just need to follow me and I will kill all the Kabani. Wuming said with a gloomy face. Lin Chen glanced at Wuming and knew that she had just been moved by Enijo's words and was eager to break into Kabani's lair to prove that she still had strength and would not be abandoned. In the anime, her reckless behavior puts everyone in danger. Lin Chen would naturally not allow it. Let's not talk about anything else. The key point is that Wuming is not his subordinate and is not recorded in the camp list. No matter how many Kabani she kills, Lin Chen will not get any benefit. Lin Chen interrupted the quarrel and said, Miss Wuming, as our ace, has more important things to do. According to the information just obtained, Yashura Station was destroyed by a huge black smoke monster. It is very likely that this monster is still in Yashura. The station has not left. According to my analysis, if the monster is still staying in Yashura Station, the most likely place is near the center of Yashura Station. Ikoma quickly reacted. In other words, if we go to the steam boiler crane, once the crane is started, we will not only face Kabani, but also very likely to face the black smoke monster. Lin Chen nodded slightly and said seriously. Yes, once attacked, the person who opens the crane is likely to be in dire straits. This is something I cannot allow and cannot take such a big risk. My idea is that although Yashura Station was breached, it was breached very suddenly, so the city defense equipment must still be retained. We can first collect the city defense cannons and transport the cannons to the Iron Castle. Use the samurai team to attack Kabani near the steam boiler. We have just replaced the new weapons and equipment, just in time for actual combat. Although the Nameless Lady is very strong, her physical strength is a problem, so the Nameless Lady only needs to be used as a trump card. These miscellaneous fish does not need Miss Wooming to take action at all. Once the black smoke monster appears, Miss Wooming will cooperate with the cannon to kill the black smoke monster. Quote, after defeating the black smoke monster, we can collect the supplies of Yashura Station. The supplies of the entire Yashura Station are enough for us to reach our destination, King Kong Wo. Everyone was moved by Lin Chen's more detailed plan and expressed their agreement. Wooming also gave up the idea of entering Kabani's lair directly, and felt happy. I am the trump card. As expected, let others do the job of killing a fool like Kabani. Lord Chengxi, there is also a Type 48 city defense cannon that can be used. Immediately move to the Iron Fortress and make sure the city defense cannons are restored to use. Yes, Lord Chengxi, let Kuchirusu lead the escort team to escort the technicians to the crane, and set up defenses around it. We must persist until the crane removes the shaft platform. Order Arakawa Kibutsu to lead the samurai team to attack Kabani in the center of the boiler, attract attention, and let Ikoma take the opportunity to start the boiler to restore power to the crane. Miss Akoris will lead the logistics team to maintain order in the Iron City and prohibit noise and random movement. Miss Wooming is always on the lookout for attacks from black smoke monsters. Once they appear, she will immediately cooperate with cannons to kill them. Lin Chen conducted the command in an orderly manner. Kuji Leizu led the escort team to the crane, check immediately whether the crane is available. Kuji Leizu ordered Zhengsheng to check. After some fussing, he replied, it can be used, no problem. Kuji Leizu praised. Very good, build a defense line around it immediately. The escort team began to build a defense line with horses, iron boxes, etc. Soon, Kuji Leizu waved a flag and sent a signal, the defense line has been formed. Arakawa Kibutsu looked at the flag that was ready and shouted to the samurai team, it's time for us to take the field, let those Kabani taste our power, 6 roots pure. The warriors quickly divided into 2 rows, and with slogans such as, 6 roots of purity, and other slogans, they began to fire in formation and advance steadily. Kabani's heart was easily broken in front of the improved cannon. The first row retreats to reload, the second row moves forward, prepare, shoot. Pure 6 roots. The morale of the warriors was greatly boosted. They could finally kill Kabani effectively. Guantong was much stronger than the previous steam guns. Lin Chen was also very happy. Tip, your men have killed Kabani. Hint, you got the treasure chest white. From time to time, dropped treasure chests were automatically collected into the storage space. Lin Chen stood on the roof of the Jatichung car, trying to suppress the rising corners of his mouth. As the leader of the camp, he had his own subordinates to do their best. Lord Arakawa Kibito, the samurai team has cleared Kabani in the boiler center according to the established goal. A subordinate of the samurai team reported to Arakawa Kibitomaiki. The boiler center is located at a high point in the center of Yatsushiro Station, and you can easily see the surrounding residential buildings below. Arakawa Kibutsu stood on it, looking at the completely shattered houses and collapsed walls around him. He secretly sighed. It's hard to imagine what kind of monster has such power. Wait, everyone is alert. Ikoma, start the boiler. My lord, something is wrong. Arakawa Kibito's expression changed drastically, and densely packed Kabani suddenly emerged from the ruins. They began to climb along the iron plate to the center of the boiler. There were many skill takers among them, and the Kabani in the center of the boiler was just a drop in the bucket compared to them. Stop and buy time for Ikoma to start the boiler. The samurai team fired wildly downwards to block the attack, and the tide of Kabani made everyone's scalp numb. Start successfully, Arakawa Kibito said loudly. Retreat, go to the crane defense line, and help the escort team defend. With everyone's efforts, the crane quickly moved away the shaft platform. Suddenly, all the Kabani rushed towards one place. Like building blocks, a monster made of Kabani appeared in front of everyone. It was 30 meters tall and walked on all fours. The monster's body is entirely composed of Kabani. The dense Kabani heart makes the monster's body full of red dots, while its chest glows with blue light. While walking, Kabani kept being thrown away, and Kabani continued to merge. Fusion Group Kabani. Hit points. Undead. Energy. 10. Strength. 210, continuously rising. Agility. 34. Physique. 231, continuing to rise. Intelligence. 1. Charm. 1. Skill 1. Fusion, fused from countless Kabani, will not die before the weak point is defeated. Skill 2. Energy Bomb, you can spray energy bombs to destroy everything. Lin Chen's face was solemn, and he finally came out. It was an anti-city level monster, and it was also one of the biotechnology masterpieces of Amada Mima. Lin Chen had no idea of getting closer. He was just kidding. With one punch, an armored city carriage would take off. There is still self-knowledge. The survivors on the Iron Fortress shouted loudly, "This is it, the Black Fog monster, it is impossible to defeat, we will all die." Lin Chen shouted through the radio, "Quiet, please Miss Chengpu immediately lead the logistics team to maintain order in the Iron City. There is no invincible monster. I, Chen Shi, will ensure everyone's safety. Order the samurai team, the escort team, and everyone else outside to return to the Iron Castle through the fast lane immediately." Lin Chen turned around and asked Chao Gao, "How are the cannon preparations going?" Chao Gao said confidently, "It's ready. It can be launched at any time." "Very good, Yuna, push the Iron Castle to its maximum speed. Chao Gao, you control the cannon and keep the closest distance. When the monster is about to catch up with us, attack the blue part of its chest. Miss Wu Ming, after the cannon breaks through the blue outer periphery, it's up to you to break through its core. The fusion group should be the same as Kabani. The heart is its core. As long as we break the core, we can defeat it." Lin Chen was extremely calm, and his calm command calmed everyone's panic. According to Lin Chen's already prepared plan, everyone began to get busy. Boom, boom, boom. In the main control room. "The monster is coming, and it's even bigger than before," a horrified voice came from the observation deck. The black mist monster climbed onto the railway track and was chasing towards the Iron Fortress crazily. It kept spitting out Kabani and flew to the roof of the Iron Fortress. Lin Chen led the escort team to defend on the roof of the car. Yuna shouted loudly, "Release the pressure limit and move forward at full speed." Lin Chen reminded the gear shaft to check it, so naturally there would be no scene in the anime where the speed cannot be increased. Chao Gao said excitedly, "Now is the time to show off and fire." Boom! A cannonball hit the blue light core of the fusion group, and all the surrounding Kabani was blown away. It was at this time. Wu Ming had already removed the ribbon and quickly approached the core. Nameless. HP. 100%. Energy. 230/230. Strength. 49, increased by 10. Agility. 61, increased by 10. Constitution. 43. Intelligence. 23. Charisma. 9. Skill 1. Two-handed pistol skills, superb spear skills, improved accuracy. Skill 2. Proficient in swordsmanship, with excellent swordsmanship. Skill 3. Combat proficiency, able to quickly subdue the enemy. Skill 4. Dodge, fight for many years without being injured. Skill 5. Infection, once bitten and scratched by it, it will be infected. Skill 6. Heart membrane, Kabinari will not die before the heart is broken, and the defense of the heart is greatly improved. Skill 7. Restrictions are lifted, strength and agility are greatly increased, and the risk of turning into Kabani is accelerated. Skill 8. Lin Chen was not sure. He seized the opportunity to kill the fusion group in the flash of lightning. If he missed and was scratched, Lin Chen could not bear it, so he could only rely on Wu Ming to appear. Wu Ming, who jumped into the core of the monster like a bird, was stunned for a moment, and a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. Is this the core of this monster? At the core is a woman wearing a combat uniform with connecting tubes inserted all over her body. Without enough time to observe, Wu Ming stabbed the woman's heart with a knife. With a huge explosion, Wu Ming jumped back to the Iron City. Tip: your subordinates participate in killing the fusion group Kabani. Tip: you got the treasure chest green. It was successful. Lin Chen was happy and painful. If he killed him by himself, this evaluation would not be fatal. Lin Chen felt like he was wrong. I can only comfort myself. Most of the damage was caused by unknown people. A small part of the damage was caused by my brother firing cannons. After layers of outsourcing, it was weakened. Having a green treasure chest is already very good. Success. Long live Lord Chen Shi. Long live Lord Chengxi. The people in Jiadicheng fell into a revelry. If they had just obeyed Lin Chen's command before, they were now in a frenzy. Under Lin Chen's leadership, they defeated an unprecedentedly powerful enemy. At this moment, Lin Chen's leadership will never be shaken again. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.